Good evening. It is Monday, April 1st. That is not a joke. It really is April 1st, 2024. I am again joined by my co-host who decided to wear his sunglasses at night, Mr. Sam McGilligan. How are you, my friend?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Okay, so he learned French.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, get rid of the garbage cans over there. There you go. Yeah,
come on.
Anyway, welcome to the show. We're also joined by producer AJ Jadaro. AJ, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Matthews is now at 61, baby. Road to 70.
Yes, he is. Yeah, the road to 70 is getting paved right now. You know, the asphalt truck has pulled up and
couple cracks.
How many goals does Cole Caulfield have this year, Sam?
At least one.
Not enough. At least one. Yes, that's a good answer. But anyway, welcome to Scouching Live. I am Will Scouch, of course. We're brought to you by Fanatics. You can use our affiliate link below, or you can scan the QR code in the chat window to provide a small kickback to the show on everything you buy in the store. We're also brought to you by Puck Preps Hockey for all your NCAA and CHL prospect needs. We got all hands on deck for the under-16 nationals in the United States coming up tomorrow.
Yes, we do.
So there's going to be some good coverage over there. If you have a subscription.
Big tournament with lots of views.
Yes, big time. We're also brought to you by Fractal Hockey Consulting, which is my business for hand-tracked player analysis and recruitment packages for the NCAA Europe and beyond. Again, we're partnered with the Golden Bucket, so if you're looking for exposure to European teams, get in touch with me or directly with the Golden Bucket and tell them we sent you. And you can potentially extend your career playing in a wonderful place overseas in Europe. There's more and more teams signing up. We actually just had one in Austria, I think, just signed up. So now you've got Austria added to the list. Lots of fun places where you can potentially play hockey. And of course, we're brought to you by Scouching.ca, where you can get a ton of cool data tools with tons of insight into the draft, especially now since we're entering draft season, as well as players making their way into the NHL, of which there are quite a few more leaving college and such over the last few days. So before we get into the show, I also wanted to give a quick shout out to our graphic designer, Mr. Rayan Tubik, my friend, who's been a supporter of the show for a gazillion years. He has given us some help on the graphic design side, and it's his birthday, and I don't think he was joking, right, AJ?
He's not joking.
Yeah, he was not kidding. But a kid like that, born on April 1st, just seems perfect, like written in the stars. So happy birthday to him, and
happy birthday.
Yeah, keep up the good work. We're loving it, and yeah. So anyway, on that note, we'll get into the show.
April Fool, we love you.
Yeah,
Ray.
he is. Yeah, he is certainly something like that. But he is now a man. He is a young person now turned a man. So good for you. I remember that number birthday. It was a good time. I had a good old time.
But he's 19.
Yeah, I know. I had a good time.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but anyway, just before we get into the actual meat of the show, the guys that were tracked this week are Carter Yakimchuk. I finished the data set on Michael Brandsegg, Newgard, Thomas Galvis, Berkeley Catton, Marcus Kiersey, Sam Dickinson, Daniil Ustinkov, Jacob Tarian, Igor Chernyshev, Oli Josephson, Trevor Connolly, Noel Franzen, Nikita Artemonov, Sam's boy, Sasha Boisvert, Ivan Demidov, Andrew Basha, my boy Ludwig Johnson, Matvey Gridden, and Ryder Ritchie. So that's what I got through this week. The list will be very small next week because I'm away for the long weekend. So there's going to be no Thursday. Well, I'm giving myself a long weekend. So no show Thursday. So don't bother showing up to that one.
I won't.
Dang.
Darn. But anyway, what we're going to be going over today, obviously the title of the show, Auston Matthews scoring 60 goals. We'll cover that. There was some talk of expanded playoffs, so we'll have a little bit of a discussion about the NHL potentially expanding the playoffs and what that might look like. We'll cover a bit about the NCAA College Hockey Championship because there have been some absolute bangers of hockey games going on over there. And then we'll go through our games of the week and then get to some chat questions. But to start off, again, as we did on Thursday, we're going to start with AJ's one-day scouting extravaganza. And today we've got a triple header because I believe, if I'm putting it correctly, AJ got a little bit, maybe not bored, but restless, maybe would be the word, and wanted to cram another one in there last minute.
I just figured that Herman Troff wouldn't do well on a thumbnail. So.
Okay. The cage?
No.
Oh, well. All right. Well, I trust your judgment. So anyway, we went through Herman Truff, Zane Parekh, and Cole Eiserman. Some real heaters in there.
I didn't know about that.
So AJ, where do you want to start? Let's start with what you want to do. Where do you want to go first?
Let's go in order. So I watched
Okay.
Trough first, and he is a guy. Like, he's good, just a solid energy player that he's intense. I kind of thought it was hilarious that he had like this really short teammate that was taking a lot of draws for a lot of the time. And
there's a lot of really short players on that team.
yeah, it's the Swiss guy.
Yeah. Oh, Reber.
Yeah,
Jamiro Reber. He's
Yeah.
pretty fun.
he's fun, but he kept losing
Yeah.
all the draws, and then they finally just said, "Nah, Traff, you're taking all the draws," and then he
Yes.
won all of them.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah, that
Yeah,
checks
he's
out.
Off of the course.
He's a big,
Yeah.
strong boy, moves the puck well, and like just solid. I don't think he's particularly like super special, but he's a solid player that I think is decent. Like, there's not a lot I could say about him, so that's part of the reason why I thought at the end of the day, let's add another player to this list, because like I don't think there's a whole lot more beyond that.
Right.
He's just
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, that's my read as well on him.
Yeah,
I
pretty much.
I think he shows more of like what he could be in the NHL, in the SHL. I don't know what level did you watch him at? It was a junior game because
Yes.
Reber was playing, right?
Yeah.
But he basically, that's kind of what he really leans into. Just go,
Yeah.
play hard, play physical, make some good plays here and there.
Flash some cool skill.
Yeah, he's kind of up that Brandsteg Newgard alley. If you're looking at those types of players, like a
Yes,
big heavy
he
dude,
is.
he can shoot. He's got a pretty good shot, so that's also pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, Herman Truff, I agree. I mean, he's a guy who for me is like top end of the second roundish, top to middle second round. I don't know about you.
He's been kind of stapled in like my 40 to 55-ish for the most part of the year.
Yeah. I mean, So I don't know, AJ. What do you, if it were you, considering what you know about players in the draft, would this be a guy that you call in the first round at some point, or no?
I mean, I don't think it's impossible, but I think looking back at other drafts, like he's a second round guy to me, like based
Right.
on what I've seen in previous years. But he's just a solid player. I think you know what you're getting out of him, and
Yeah.
that's perfectly fine. I think he'll play,
Well-
and I think he'll play on a third line.
Yeah, it's funny because it's pretty straightforward, but I'd say
I think that's a pretty fair read of it, though.
on the other hand, the next one,
Oh yes, Zane Perez.
Let's go.
yeah, well, we can
I-
get into this.
I don't know, man. I don't know. He's so weird. It's like you see him do some really cool things with the puck. Like I saw him set up somebody for a really nice goal. But man, it's like sometimes he'll make passes and it's just careless. Like it's just like his brain shuts off as he's making the play. And then the puck's going the other way and he's hemmed in forever and he's just kind of soft on pucks in the defensive end and it's not great. But when he has the puck and he's carrying it up the ice, he can do some pretty nifty stuff. But it's, again, one of the things you said. He's a defenseman where the best of him is not, it's in the offensive zone, right? It's not in the D zone that you're getting the best of Zane Perek. And, like, that's a bit of a problem. So I don't know what to think of him. I feel like he's either it's going to be like, not that he'll be as good as Evan Bouchard, but he'll either hit like that in a way where he's a guy who is an offensive defenseman and really that's it, or he just won't work out at all. Is kind of where I'm at.
It's not the worst take. I mean, it's pretty succinct and pretty on par.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them this year because I feel like an insane person because I'm going, how the hell? Like, I mean, sometimes you see it's like, but how the hell did this guy almost score 100 points? But he puts the puck on net a lot.
Yes,
and he certainly, draws pressure and passes decently well.
Yes, he does.
But how, like you said, Evan Bouchard, but like, is there, as he is now, like, is there an NHL player that he kind of reminds you of? Like, to me, Evan Bouchard was
he's
a
not,
much
he's not,
more
he's
like,
not like Evan Bouchard. I'm just thinking like from
yeah,
the perspective of he'll have
His-
the one role kind of thing.
yes, yeah, that's his job. But I just see, like, I just remember Bouchard being a lot better, like, of a up and down the ice skater, better puck carrier. Like, Zane Perek almost, in my data, like, almost like alone relies on passing pucks across blue lines and everything.
Yep.
And he passes the puck a lot. and he misses a
A
lot.
lot.
Yeah.
A lot. So I don't know. I mean, I agree. I don't know what he is, right? Like, I imagine he'll be a top 10 pick. I imagine.
Yeah.
I
I'd
think
be surprised if he wasn't.
yeah, I think that's I think it's possible he falls, because I cannot imagine NHL teams watch him as a defenseman and don't see problems with projecting him. I just
I
I don't know.
feel like most people, when you watch him, should at least have some legitimate, like, real concern about the D zone game. Like,
yeah,
there's having the belief that it will get better over time due to XYZ, whatever you may think it is, which is fine. That's understandable. You want to expect players to improve and try and accurately guess when it's going to happen. But there are things, the lack of physical play, the positioning, the cherry picking positioning at times, following players over to the boards too much. It's like, it's not like it's just one or two issues. Like, you can see a trend of like, kind of like present all throughout his D zone game.
yeah, it's
Without the feet to like really make up for it against
Right.
elite NHL skaters too. Because especially if he's supposed to be a top 4 guy, like, you ain't facing anybody but elite NHL skaters, at least good ones, right? Like, where is it going to come from?
yeah. I think that's the billion dollar question with him,
I
whatever
agree.
it is.
Zane Perek is
Yeah.
$1 billion.
He'll be a billionaire
industry.
one day, but I don't know. I mean, because
Billion.
I have no idea what to think of him, and it's like, you've watched a guy like Alphonse Frey, who we love on the show.
Yeah.
To me, I think he brings so much more projectability to the
Yep.
NHL as he is. And Perek, it's like, I can't think of an NHL player who plays like him, right? And if I'm coaching him based on how he's played defensively, if I'm coaching
What do you
him,
do?
I want to rip my hair out, right? And that, to me, that's problematic. Like, that in the NHL, you got to have defenders who can defend generally. But who knows? He shoots it from the point a lot, and he scores a lot of points. So
Yep. And he does have some unbelievable vision at times.
that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, some of the
yeah.
most insane passes I've seen came off of his stick this year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's just about
I won't
finding.
dispute that.
It's just about creating a role for him where he's going to be successful, and how do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. So we can flip over to Cole Iserman, who is
Yeah.
the other one you took a look at real quick before the show.
Yes.
I will say that I haven't seen him in a while. It's been quite a while
His
since I've
last
laid
two
eyes on
games
him.
are my 2 best viewings, personally.
Okay. Well, AJ.
Those.
what do you got?
I saw the second last game because that's what was available, and he
Hmm.
looked pretty decent at times. Like, he's skilled for sure and decent passer too. Like, I saw him throw a puck from behind the net and like get it right into the slot, and it could have. It was a pretty dangerous chance. It's just nobody was able to convert on it. I see a I see a good player there. It's just from what you've told me about him, Will, especially with the whole concerns, like, guys don't like playing with him. Apparently, that's not ideal, right? Like, I think he's a player. He's definitely somebody you could put in your top 6 and be like, yeah, you can shoot the puck pretty decently and you can make plays.
Yeah.
But it's problematic if nobody wants to play with you.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get too hung up on that.
Fair
it's
enough.
but you can definitely see when he's on the ice, like, the issues, right? Like, like, he does have some of that, like, red mist moments. You saw him barrel into a goaltender.
Yes, he ran a goalie. It was pretty nice.
I saw him like try to flying elbow a guy and miss.
Oh, that was an insane clip.
Yeah, and
I've seen him chase hits that he had zero business chasing.
yeah, like he'll go.
He was quite literally 2 to 3 strides away from making it, and he still was like, "I'm going for it,"
Yeah.
and misses. And it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. So
Now
and
you
I
just look like a clown.
I do agree though with AJ though that, like, the passing is better than people kind of lead on.
I think he's
I
actually some of his passing, and my 2 most recent games, it's all been the passing, and not only like it's been an elite strength, I would argue, in these games because of how well he's finding his little pockets of space, and he knows how people are going to adjust when he gets the puck, because everyone's going to clog a shooting lane, so it
Mhm.
opens, someone's weight is leaning towards the net towards the shot lane and away from where he's going to pass
Yeah.
it. And he's gotten better at recognizing how to capitalize on these, corralling pucks into shooting motions and changing the angle for a pass.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing a lot of stuff like this really well. He does play with physical intensity. His skill and control with the puck in transition has gotten better as the year goes on. Or actually, it honestly looks like it did last year, and maybe he was just kind of going through something earlier in the year. Maybe he was hurt. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, it's easier to look at Yzerman now and have faith in him having a role that's not just shoot puck on net in the NHL.
Right.
Still not like ecstatic about it, and I still think Teddy Stiga is a little more enticing.
Well, he brings more to the table, I think.
Yeah, but I think both of them are, or at least let's go back to Yzerman. I do think like he's moving back up the board now. Like, I think he trended far down, and now he's definitely coming back up.
Yeah, he's as low as he'll get on mine, and I'm going to take a lot of looks at him before the end of the year and bump him up. Probably bump him up. I mean, the guys ahead of him, I could see him passing those guys based on what I've seen. But yeah, I haven't seen Yzerman in a while, but to me, I watched him and I went, man, like, it's kind of like, he kind of reminds me of like Oliver Wahlstrom, but like a more physical version of him, where it's like I remember watching Wahlstrom and he would just get the puck and rifle it from pretty much anywhere, and his shot was good enough to get through pretty much anything. In the games that I've tracked, Yzerman barely has shot the puck. You know, it's just, he just doesn't really get the chance to do it. So to me, it's like someone else often has to do a lot of the legwork, but I feel like that's a thing that's kind of gone away over the year. Like at the Top Prospects game, I thought he showed really well, like with the puck rushing and the puck control, and the Five Nations, he was also really good there too for that. So that maybe has gotten better, but I also, so I just haven't seen him in a while, but I have all the time in the world for him to have a bit of a renaissance for an overcorrection perhaps from everyone at the beginning of the year a little bit.
And the one thing I did also notice about him is he constantly wants the puck. Like, he's always like, he's looking at his teammates like, give me the puck,
smashing his stick off.
Give me the puck.
All the time.
And so when you have that as a player, it's like, that's fine. But when I give you the puck, what are you going to do with it?
Yep.
And it seems like a lot of the time when he has it, it's either I'm just going to shoot it or some sort of low percentage, weird.
Like he'll force something when he has to. He wants looks and he doesn't seem to like fully think it through. So then he's like, oh, okay, what do I do now? And then he loses it.
Yeah.
And I think you hope that the version of him that comes to the NHL is one that kind of accepts that he's not going to be the main guy on a line, and instead like can score as much as the main guy on the line by taking I don't want to say more of a backseat role, because he'd be the finisher in the offensive zone. You want to get the puck to Yzerman to either make the final pass or the shot, and he can help in the build up to the play, but he's not going to be the guy driving pucks up the ice and like actually solving problems when he's got two defenders on him in different directions. Like, he's not going to be the one like stick handling out of that situation. And that's fine. As long as he like understands this, there's a lot of room for him in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a job for him for sure. And to me, he's just like part of that soup in the middle of the first round, where it's like, if you want a guy who can score goals and with a bit of an edge to him, then here's a guy, you know,
you take that one.
Here's 6 other guys that have other things that they do really well. That
it's
could,
like, what do you want? What are you trying to add to your team?
Yeah. And how are the vibes? What are your vibes with the player? So AJ,
yes,
your order of preference of these three, would you say? What would you throw out there?
I would go Yzerman at the top of the 3, and then, like, I hate doing this, but I just don't know what Zane Parekh is. Like, he's the last one there, because I know what Trough is.
Right.
Ooh, baby.
I know what Trough is.
I mean, I know what you're. Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Right? I would say the totally potential with Parekh is higher than. He's definitely higher than Trough.
Baby.
But it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting. I don't. I want it. The truth is, I don't think I'm getting the player. I'm getting a big project. And can I convert that into something? Maybe. But I don't know, man. It's like, I would try him at forward.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like you can tell that Herman Truff plays hard enough and fast enough and physical enough where you're like, yeah, third line guy. Sure, I could see it one day.
Yeah.
Zane Parekh, it's like, who's like, playing like the way he plays, I don't know what coach is going to throw him out there for 20 minutes a night, right? Like, it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting to the defensive side of the game, but
yeah,
that's so important.
You can make it work.
I don't know. AJ definitely isn't a gambling man. We can take that away from this analysis.
Oh,
He's
sure he is.
not a gambling man.
He's just hedging his bets,
Well,
which is fair.
I'm
Smart man.
not a gambling man on defensemen. I'm a
Right.
I'm a gambling man on forwards. Evidently.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yep. And we think we could probably get a better 130 picks later.
Alphonse
Anyway.
Ray, baby.
Yeah, Mr. Alphonse. Well, we'll see what happens after the under 18s if he's there. Let's switch over to the NHL. Auston Matthews has now scored 60 goals. I guess now it's 61.
Now it's 61.
It is the second time he has broken the 60 goal threshold. He is up to, just to run some numbers by you, he's up to 359 goals in 553 games. So there's that. That is of all time in the NHL of players under 27 years old. That's 7th all time. And he's the only player within the top 10 that played the game this millennium. Ovechkin is number 11.
Okay, that's how that works.
Yeah, Ovechkin's number 11. But, still. He has scored at a 52 goal per season pace since entering the NHL, which puts him 6th on the same list. So he's missed some time, but through it all, he's a 52 goal pace scorer over the course of his career, which is, pardon my French, flippin' outrageous.
Yeah, that's got to flip some outrage on that one. That is pretty nuts.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty nuts.
And when you look at the title of the show, does he get to 70? I mean, the Leafs have 10 games left,
9,
including tonight. 9
including tonight. I'm pretty sure.
So 9 games including tonight. He needs 9 more goals now. So 9 goals in 8.5 games?
I think he does, because these regular season awards towards the build up to the playoffs seem to be what motivate this Leafs team the most.
That's
I
fair.
can totally see him going, yeah, I need 70 goals and cranking it, and then just not scoring for the first 3 games of the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, he has an
Disagree.
assist tonight too. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he is turning over a new leaf.
He's been much better in the
leaf.
playoffs more recently, except for
That is true.
last year in the second round he got hurt,
Right.
the wrist injury. So it is what it is, but I've really liked his game this year especially, and I think honestly I would not be surprised if he does it. I told Will before the show, he scored 51 goals in 50 games in 2022. It's very possible that he scores 9 in 8.5 games left, which is what they're at right now.
I am also more inclined to believe AJ because I just looked at who Toronto plays between now and the end of the season. So they play obviously tonight against the Florida Panthers, and they're beating the snot out of them right now. It's 4-1. But they're playing Tampa on the 3rd, so we'll see what happens there. But then they play Montreal on the 6th, and Pittsburgh, and then they play New Jersey twice, and then Detroit, then Florida again, and then Tampa.
Yeah, he probably gets it.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely
Very
possible. Some, like the Detroit Red Wings are on a real tough run. So is New Jersey still. Tampa, who knows what you're going to get out of that. And Montreal's at the bottom of the standings.
Hey,
so what? Where did I lie?
I don't
think
spread misinformation in this server.
Right. They are second last in the Eastern Conference. So there. But anyway, I mean, yeah, so I guess he could entirely make it to 70. I mean,
You could make it to 80.
yeah, you could go to 80. No, I know.
Yeah, we know.
I also like that goal that he scored to get to 60. Like you could tell he wants that. Like
Absolutely.
he has that like in his brain of like that's what I want to get to. Like that's my, like you could, and they just watched a bit of that game on Saturday, and you could definitely tell like he's
the only active
he's
player
hunting.
with 2 60-goal seasons.
Yep,
And he's
which
got
is
a chance at 70, which is what's completely insane. There's a
Yep.
reason we titled things, is Auston Matthews the greatest goal scorer of all time? Because he will be 100%.
Yeah. And again, like that goal, I think, is a really good example of what makes him such a good goal scorer.
Exactly.
Like there were like 3 or 4 chances on that one shift where you kind of went, yeah, I could see Auston Matthews scoring here. But they were all different, right? Like it was all like he can get the release off quick and put it 5-hole. He can go, top shelf and do the whole fancy thing. He can go to the net and bang one in. Like, it's all kinds of things that he does really well.
Mitch Marner can set him up for a tap in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the only person, that I would argue kind of holds a candle to him is Ovechkin. Like, Ovechkin's on a tear now, but it's just different with him. Like, I feel like with Matthews, it's just been very different, and he's scoring an absolute boatload of goals before he's 27.
That since
Probably
2010, since the 2010 draft, nobody has more goals than Auston Matthews in the NHL.
I did know that. I heard that today. Yeah,
he's got. I think
that's pretty crazy.
I think he's got 2 more goals than Jeff Skinner, who is the second highest.
And he was 2011, I think, or 2010, 2011, something like that.
Something like that.
So he's one of the oldest players in that cohort.
He's got more goals than Tyler Seguin has in his career.
I wonder who it is from the 09 draft that makes this not the stat dating back to 2009.
Maybe.
Oh,
Stammer?
I don't know. Stamkos is 08.
Okay, then maybe Tavares.
Maybe, but either way, Auston Matthews, one hell of a run so far in his career.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we'll get to the Gretzky level, but 52 goals a game, that'll get you there quick. But 52 goals a season on average through your 20s, and he's not even close to 30.
I didn't realize he was playing Kazakhstan.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see that once, just Auston Matthews against, well, maybe one day if the Leafs miss the playoffs, he goes to the World Championship or something. And
not crazy.
I don't know why he would. You're Auston Matthews. Just take your vacation and, go wherever it is you want to go.
He's what, 26?
Yeah, 1997. So he's turning 27 in the fall, I think. He's still just a kid. He's still cooking as a child. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but he's, I think we're beating around the bush a lot, and just a heck of a performance from him, especially.
Great player. He's no Daniel Winnick, but
no.
Get out of here.
Yeah, no Daniel. No, he's no Joey Colburn.
No Richard Panik.
No,
sir.
No Colton Orr.
Oh God. Well, I mean, no. In the way Colton Orr was Colton Orr, he is no Colton Orr. That's for sure. That's a throwback.
He's no Jack Campbell either.
No.
And on that note.
Yeah. On that note, I mean, 70 is entirely possible. Clearly, so good. We'll see. It could be a nice little ride, unless the Leafs.
What do you think, Rick Vive?
That's not Rick Vive.
What do you think, Rick Vive?
That's not Rick Vive
also
either.
Not Rick Vive.
Rick Vive's over there, turned around, facing the other way.
I thought neither of those looked right.
Yeah, this guy is, I think, dead. So, yeah, I think. I don't know. Either way, we're getting sidetracked. We don't want. We got too sidetracked last week. We're staying on the game. We're staying focused here. So there was some chatter on 32 Thoughts. I don't know if this came from someone specific, AJ. I don't remember off the top of my head that it was specifically why they brought this up.
Yeah, because Elliot has been adamant that there should be expanded playoffs.
Right. Has anyone actually come out and said that that's a possibility?
I think it's a real possibility.
I agree.
When you look at it, especially if they're thinking about expanding again, half the teams make the playoffs now.
Yeah.
And I was originally against the idea of an expanded playoff format, but the more I think about it, the more I like the idea of having a play-in sort of series with where it's the 7 and 8s playing against
9s and 10s.
9s and 10s, yeah. I like that idea because we're all going to watch that game.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to drive up revenue a lot more. The cap's going to go up as a result because more teams are going to be in the playoffs. And
TV ratings will be better.
Exactly.
Yeah. I
think it'll be great.
Look at March Madness. Look at the NCAA College Hockey Championship going on right now. Literally all the things that happen in the world that are just one-off games. Winner take all. Football does it. The other football does it.
Yep.
Basketball doesn't do it really, but college basketball certainly does, and it's one of the biggest events of the year. And And so I figure one extra game during the year is not the craziest idea, and I love it.
If that's how it's going to work, then I think it's all right.
Baseball started doing it too. Like even baseball is
Basketball
doing
does it.
it. Yeah,
NBA has the
basketball's
play-on
doing
games.
it, right?
The problem with NBA's playing games is that it's all for naught because the 7th and 8th seeds never beat the 1st and 2nd seeds anyways in basketball. And the 9th and 10th sure aren't either. But hockey's got that extra chaos
in
factor
hockey,
to
it
it.
could totally happen.
Oh, it could totally happen.
It can absolutely. A 10
We saw
seed
what
can
happened with
have
Florida and Boston
Yeah.
last year, Columbus and Tampa in 2019, right? Like,
Yeah.
hockey is way more random and much less of a skill outcome, like actual skill determined outcome game. Is a lot more
Yeah.
randomness. So
I, for one, cannot wait to see what goalie gets signed $3 million overpaid because he shut out in the one playing game in the year after putting up a 380 for the whole season.
Yep. Billy Husso, come on down. Get your giant contract. I mean, yeah. So this year, I mean, a series, a 1-game one-off between like Tampa and the Islanders and the Flyers and the Red Wings. I'd watch the hell out of that. Like make a weekend out of it. You have an afternoon game and an evening game. In the West, you'd have. I guess now it's Nashville. Actually, yeah. Wait, yeah. Nashville shouldn't. Yeah, never mind.
Nashville would be
Either
there,
way.
yeah.
Yeah, Nashville would be in there with LA, St. Louis, and Minnesota. I mean, I feel like that one's a little more straightforward.
It would be chaos.
Yes.
It would be a little bit, but again, yeah,
But
like
it would be
AJ's
good
right.
chaos, you know?
Yeah, this game is crazy. This game is full of randomness and silliness, and I'm all for it. I think that it makes a ton of sense. And yeah, like the only problem is like I can see the argument of like, well, you have some teams playing one more game than the other playoff teams, and you know how hockey people love to complain, and it's like, well, that could put you at a disadvantage, right?
Like,
Yeah.
but
But you
could
can-
be back-to-back games where
Sure.
you see
And this is hockey,
sudden
right?
death overtime if both
Yeah.
teams win one.
Yeah, and like, is there a legitimate chance that like someone could get actually hurt in those games? The one game, like it comes down to one game to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
In hockey, you're telling me that someone's not going to go out there at some point and go, we're either going to lose this game and I'm going to break a guy's skull, or we're going to, you know, I'm going to send a message by crushing a guy in the first 5 minutes of the game, you know, and then that team ends up winning the game or something. I don't know.
Yep.
But it's
You
a
can flip it
CBA
to
thing
say that
anyway.
The team that wins gets to come off this crazy momentum high
Yeah.
that they bring in against a cold team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like you can flip it however you kind of want,
Yeah.
and no matter what, you're gonna look. You can make it sound like it's in your favor for or against the expanded playoffs.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm curious about the idea. I mean, it's not even going to be happening until the CBA gets renegotiated again anyway. So I guess it doesn't entirely matter all that much, but it's a cool idea. I thought it was interesting that they brought it up on that show, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah,
curious.
every sport's doing
The
it.
thing
So
I
may as
will
well do it
add
themselves.
is this year, when you look at the standings, though, there is kind of like you can look at it and go, yeah, do the teams that are outside of the playoffs right now really deserve to make it?
Right.
And I would say in a lot of cases, the answer is no. Like we look at,
Right.
like, should Detroit be in the playoffs?
Yeah,
Should
they've had a
the
bit of a rough
should the
go there, eh?
Islanders be in the playoffs?
Right.
I don't
Right.
think so. Detroit more so than the Islanders, but like, should St. Louis
also-
be there or Minnesota? Probably
You do
not.
reward incompetence a bit more than not. Like
You
how many
do.
GMs are just like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. As
Okay.
a Habs fan
And
from the
every
Bergevin
team
era
I
who
listed,
heard
by
that
the
every
way,
year.
has either a 0 goal differential or a negative goal differential. So that is also problematic when you look at, like, Philly's a -16 and they're in a wild card spot,
Yeah.
which is kind of nuts.
Okay.
Washington's a -31 and they are in a divisional spot, which
So-
is unbelievable.
The top 6 teams make the playoffs automatically. The first ranked team gets a bye, and then the last spots are a wild card. No, yes, maybe. I don't know. I just thought of that now. I just mean like shortening the pool of teams that make the playoffs anyway, instead of 16 teams. But I guess if you're expanding to 34 or something at some point,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that decreasing that to 12
But,
or
like, I think
something.
it's
I
hard to
the
come up with a
biggest-
system that actually works without knowing the logistics of how
Yeah.
many teams are going to be in the league in 10 years from now.
Yeah.
The league is obviously planning.
And I think the biggest boon you're gonna get in an expanded playoff series or like format is more money. There's gonna be more money
Mhm.
for like the salary cap will go up, which is great for teams that spend to that level and are really contending. And also, we're just gonna get awesome hockey. Like, do you not want to watch either like a single elimination game or like a 2-game elimination where there's an overtime if the series is tied? I think that'd
Yeah.
be insane.
It'd be outrageous. I mean, we see it already kind of in a lot of tournaments, right? Like the Olympics and
Yeah.
Yep.
Even the Champions League is like that over in Europe. Like there are teams like, it's just a lot of hockey. I mean, I know it's one more game. It's not the end of the world,
Or
but
2.
I've always felt that the NHL season, or 2, the NHL season is already so long and compact for the sport that they're playing. I
Yeah,
think
if
it's just
I'm on
insane,
team, like if you're gonna add these, like cut some.
which they
regular
never
season
will
games.
do.
I know they'll never
unfortunately.
do
They
it
never
for a
will,
bunch
man.
of valid financial
they never
reasons,
will.
but
They have before, but they never will. Unfortunately for the athletes. The other thing we wanted to go over, the NCAA College Hockey Championships has been absolutely unhinged.
Michigan versus Michigan State.
That game was outrageous.
Nazar, Nazer,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. It
Frankie, that
ridiculous.
was a crazy pass. Gavin Brindley, monster.
Yeah, him and Dylan Duke
Giddy
had a
up,
monster
Gavin
game.
Brindley, baby.
Yeah, Dylan Duke scored 2 goals to put them up. It just ridiculous end of the game. Were there any other games you watched? Because holy smokes, there were some bangers.
No, unfortunately, there's
I-
too much hockey going on all at once. You can only kind of be pulled
Of
into
course.
like every direction, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you have the under 16 nationals to watch, you just have to set your time
Look,
aside.
I did clear my whole schedule for.
So
the
did
week
I.
out,
Yeah.
actually,
I know. It sounds like
tournament.
I'm making fun of puck preps. I'm certainly not. It's just funny that
I've
we're
got
watching.
CompuWare versus Little Caesars.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Little
I'm
Caesars is
starting
playing this
up.
week. We got to pay attention to that. It's funny. Oh gosh. Anyway, but I mean, like Quinnipiac beat Wisconsin in overtime, which your boy, never underestimate Quinnipiac. And then Quinnipiac almost upset Boston College. It was 5-4 in overtime. I don't know if you saw that overtime goal that ended that game.
No,
It was sad. It was so sad. The goalie, it just kind of bounced off the goalie and like rolled in front of him, and he didn't see it, and he kicked it. He like rolled over. It's kind of hard to explain, and he just kind of kicked it out in front of the net, and then they just tap past it across the crease, and then that was the end of the game. It was weird, but
Yeah, that sucks.
it was a really sad way to end
That's
your college
unfortunate.
season.
That's really unfortunate.
and they were so close to upsetting the number 1 ranked team in the country. I believe that Boston College is the unanimous number 1 ranked team in the country, but Boston College squeaks their way into the Frozen Four with a 5-4 win. The other one that I thought was really, really cool that I saw a bit of was Michigan State, Western Michigan. Again, there's a lot of teams in Michigan. Even Michigan Tech is out there. They're floating around, but they're not in the tournament. But that was a game that was an overtime win for Michigan State as well, where they came back from being down 4-2 after 2 periods. So again, Michigan State tempting fate a little bit there for an upset. Come back, overtime winner. And I mean, never underestimate Michigan either, beating North Dakota and then pulling their way out ahead of Michigan State. It was kind of sad how that game ended too. There was a penalty called for a slash, I think 2.5 minutes left in the game. On the team that's losing the game, like that must just be a killer. But when you slash a guy and his stick breaks,
You slashed a guy in his stick, bro.
kind of hard not to make a call
You're
there.
going to the backs.
The only note that I have here that I wanted to mention on the show was the Gavin Brindley and the Duke brothers rule. Those guys looked great
Yes.
out there yesterday. And I'm trying to think of the other guy. I mean, Frank Nazer.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
now it's tripping me up in my head again. I watched the game yesterday, and now it's the next day, and I cannot remember how his name is pronounced properly because I've heard it all over the place.
It's Nazer apparently, but it was Nazar until suddenly
Yeah.
the NTDP commentators started calling him Nazer, and then that caught on and everybody was calling him Nazer. But I believe he said in an interview that it was actually Nazar, and
Okay.
that Nazer started from there. But
Right.
now he rolls with it because Michigan's calling him Nazer.
Okay.
It's confusing.
In any case, slick primary assist there. That was
insane.
between the legs pass. That was great. There was something else I wanted to mention, but it slipped my mind, so that's cool.
That was just playing in the moment with that pass.
Oh yeah,
Just
it
like
was
a fantastic.
He was
read.
feeling it. Yeah, it was great. Tons of fun. Great game, and if you have the time, you got to watch the Frozen Four. the other teams that are in there, Denver made it. Again, Denver beating Massachusetts in double overtime. Tristan Brose, overtime hero on that one. If you remember Tristan Brose.
I do.
Yep. Oh, yeah. 2-1 win over Massachusetts, sending them home. I believe that would mean that Scott Morrow, I believe, is the name that's floated out there as potentially leaving school, coming to the NHL. And with Carolina, supposedly.
Yep.
The Hurricanes are trying to get him. And
that was on Saturday
goes.
headlines on Hockey Night in Canada.
Oh, yeah, it was on
Elliot
Hockey Night.
Friedman.
Yep.
So
yes, it was. Scott Morrow getting name dropped.
Man, we said it years ago. The Michael Jordan of high school hockey.
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
He's ready, man.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for years for this kid.
Hey, he's looked really good. Every time I watch Mass,
I've always been a Scott Morrow fan and
He's
never
really
not been in
good.
this kid's corner.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does in the NHL. He's certainly come a long way from people saying he didn't care enough about hockey to be worth a first-round draft pick. That's for sure.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about
Remember that? Yeah, people talking about how he didn't really care about hockey and wanted to stay in high school longer because it was easier and therefore he's not a good player.
Definitely had nothing to do with the pandemic.
Yeah, like not a pandemic thing at all. No way. But anyway, the other team in the Final Four.
Always
Yeah, exactly.
problem.
Yeah, always a problem. Boston University is the other team in the Final Four, Frozen Four, I should say, after a 6-3 win over Minnesota. That was also a really good game. Your boy Lane Hudson, everybody's watching him. Everybody was talking about how they thought Lane Hudson there for a second might be, Boston University might lose that game. I think they were down 2-0. But I think Habs fans were already like chattering online about like, oh my God, he'll be in the lineup on Thursday or whatever. No, he's got more work to do. He's not done yet. I was going to wear my Boston University jersey, but I can't in good faith when I just want the Michigan boys to go all the way. I can't help myself.
I respect that.
Yeah. I mean, Michigan is the only unseeded team in the Frozen Four. The rest were all the top seeded teams in their region. They're ranked 11th nationally this year. So I'm pulling for them. I'm surprised they're ranked that low, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I kind of can't believe that, but hey.
Yeah, like Garrett Shifsky's a guy on that team I've been watching for years. He's looked good on Michigan. I don't know. I could name a bunch.
There's
of
lots of
names.
players.
Yeah, there's lots of good players on that team, and I'm hoping they keep the quote unquote Cinderella run going. And just as a recap, guys on teams that have been eliminated that have now signed NHL deals. The Vancouver Canucks signed Ty Mueller. Okay, Nashville got Ryan Ufko, who's been quite good this year. Jack Peart is now with Minnesota, right? He's a Minnesota guy. Yep. Stephen Halliday signed with Ottawa. I like Stephen Halliday. I think he could be neat. Big, skilled guy. And some guy named Leighton Rhodes signed with the Seattle Kraken. So I don't know who that is, so I can't give you a breakdown of who he is. So let's go through some games of the week. Last week, mine I chose was Toronto-Washington. That ended in a 5-1 Toronto win. Toronto showcasing their stuff against Washington for a big win. Tonight, though, was the other one that was the one I wanted to bring up, which is the Philadelphia New York Islanders game, obviously, because Philadelphia has now fallen out of a divisional spot for the playoffs.
Yes, they have.
And the Islanders are barely clinging to life. They are currently winning 3-2 at the second intermission over the Philadelphia Flyers.
Ooh, baby.
So Patrick Waugh, clinging to existence, trying to keep that hope up that team can make their way into the Stanley Cup final, or no, into the playoffs, I should say. The finals
into the Stanley Cup finals too.
Finals are a long way away, but maybe it's possible. The Islanders currently sit 5 points out of a playoff spot, but a win against Philadelphia puts them 3 points back from Philadelphia. Especially if Detroit, who doesn't play tonight, there's a game Detroit's playing. Tonight. Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're playing Tampa.
That is what I didn't see their tiny little logo there. That game is also tied. So yeah, that's the one I am not watching it now, but I'm very curious to see how that one ends. And I mean, it's getting down to crunch time for a bunch of these teams. AJ, back me up here. What's going on your side of things? What do you have your eyeballs on?
Well, I would have picked Leafs Panthers if it wasn't going on right now. So I picked Canucks and Golden Knights because that could be a first round series. It's not currently.
That's a foot.
But it could be, and I think that's a fun one. So I'm excited to see how the Canucks are going to handle it and how Vegas is going to handle it, because both these teams have kind of struggled down the stretch here a little bit. Not that Vancouver has been playing not good. They just haven't been playing at the level that they were earlier in the year, right? Like they tapered off, and I think a lot of the conversation about them being a true contender is like dissipated. which I think rightly so. I don't think they're at that level yet, but I think that game will be a good test for Vancouver because they've had some up and downs, and they beat. I want to say they beat Anaheim yesterday. It was the only game. Our
Right.
boy Olin Zellweger scored his first goal in that game.
He did.
It was
Yeah, he
close.
did.
He did.
So
Yep. Shouts out to Olin Zellweger.
It's a little snipe.
A little bit. Little teeny little snipe. But yeah,
but
I think
that was a good one.
Yeah, it is. So looking at the standings quickly before we move on, the only real series I would say is pretty much set now would be Colorado Winnipeg. It really looks like that's how it's going to shake out.
That's an insane first round
man.
series.
Yeah, Colorado's at 100 points, second in the division, 3 points behind Dallas.
But they've got a game in hand.
They do
on
have a game in
Dallas.
hand, so it's not entirely,
It's
it's not entirely set. But I mean, Dallas is also on a 7-game winning streak. So
Yeah, they've been playing pretty insane.
the
Jake Ottinger's
Jets.
gotten back to form too, so that's
Well,
a big
I mean,
part of it.
That
right?
always helps when you have like your superstar goalie playing.
Yeah,
Superstar goalie,
It just seems. I mean, we'll see what happens this year. But I mean, Jake Ottinger not the last time in the playoffs. He went on some crazy, insane playoff run not too long
It
ago.
was against the
Yeah.
Flames in the first
yeah.
round. They almost eliminated Calgary because Jake Ottinger was just so insane that series. I have a friend who's a Flames fan, and he was freaking out the entire series. Like, this guy is owning my team.
Yeah, white knuckling the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It was
he was
incredible.
He was shaking, and then Edmonton
Right.
just like dummied them in the next round.
yeah. Oh, I remember that. Oh,
That
I
was
remember that one for
crazy.
sure. That was crazy.
And so
I can't
ended
wait.
The great Calgary Flames
Oh.
team I loved.
I'm so excited. They need to end the season like today and just
I
get it
just
going.
like I'm kind of disassociated. I
Yeah.
always do this. By the time this time comes around, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want playoffs.
I only really pay attention to the fringes of the playoffs because I find that that's the interesting ones and the teams that are trying to stay in the playoff hunt.
Yep.
Those are the ones I always find interesting. But I mean, first round of the playoffs in the NHL. Is there anything better? I don't know.
No,
Like at all.
no.
it's
Ice
the most,
cream
it's the
on a
most
hot
fun.
day.
It's the most fun time, honestly. Like, I that's when I
Yeah.
enjoy watching hockey the most. I remember during the COVID year, I watched because I was a degenerate no life and I had nothing to do. I watched every single playoff game in that first round, and then
Good for you.
after the Leafs were eliminated, I didn't watch until the Stanley Cup Finals because I was too sad.
I do find the second round is a bit of a slog,
It
a little
is.
bit. I think the first round I kind of get ahead of myself a little bit. In the
First
second
round definitely has more spunk to it.
yes,
Like
yes.
just anything can happen level of chaos. By the time the second round starts, you're like, all right, only one of those fun stories is left.
right, and those
You
teams
know?
are probably tired. They're a little tired after a tough first round, and
Yeah,
they're just kind
like-
of playing it out. And then the conference finals and Stanley Cup final, it kind of starts ramping.
It's
back
almost
up.
like the inverse of the basketball playoffs where the first round sucks,
Yeah.
but the conference finals are incredible.
That is
and
true.
The NBA finals are incredible
Yeah.
games. And
Yeah.
it's like that second round always has a few gems in there as well.
the only thing about the NBA games that I really don't like in the playoffs is that the last. I mean, I guess this is true of any basketball game.
Oh
but
my
the last
God.
2
How
minutes-
long the last.
even in those meaningful playoff games, the last 2 minutes take like 45 minutes. And it's like, I don't mind the rules of basketball, but I do mind how extreme that is.
the pacing is really
it's
poor.
so like,
It's like football where the pacing is really, really
Yeah.
poor.
yeah. And the fouling on purpose, you call a timeout, you got to draw up a play, you got to blah, 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 blah.
And then it bounced off some dude's
Yes.
foot and went out of bounds. So
Yep,
now we're
see
doing
that.
it all over again. And then he got hacked when he came in. And
Yep.
now they're guys milking it while he walks. And then the
Yeah.
TV's like, we need to run a commercial right now.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then they come back and they find out that they're still on timeout.
Yep.
And then someone spilled something on the court. Yeah, like that type of stuff
So,
happens
also-
all the time.
So now that you're on the NBA track and you're a bit of a basketball fan, I know nothing. Is there a team that's like, I don't feel like in basketball, there isn't really a team that's running away with it anymore, if I'm not mistaken.
This feels like the most open year in
Yeah.
a very long time, but I feel like, and I hate to say this, the reason why it's like this is because a lot of people don't want to look at the Boston Celtics and be like, yeah, they're going to win. They're probably going to win. I hate them. So like that sucks.
Yep.
But yeah, it does feel as open as it's been in a long time. Like when you look at the standings, it's really fresh almost. Like you just see like Minnesota Timberwolves near the top of the West.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Little different from what
Like,
I remember when I was a kid.
Yeah, for so long it was just
Yeah.
like Houston, LA,
Except for where the
Dallas,
Raptors
San
are right
Antonio.
now. That's probably similar
Right.
to where it was when you were a kid, Will. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, the Raptors were there too, to be honest. I mean, I just looked. There's been a different champion the last 4 years.
Yeah. And
you-
it could
do
be
you-
a new champion this year, or
Right.
it could be any of like what was it? It won't be the Warriors. The Lakers are probably not going to, but they're in really good form right
Yeah.
now. It
And they won
could
the
be the
in-season
Nuggets. It
tournament,
could be the
so
Bucks.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know
Yeah.
that in-season tournament, baby. Milwaukee and Denver.
Yeah, like, and both of them absolutely, like, Milwaukee picked up Damian Lillard. Like, that's not enough.
Even I know that's a good player, and I
like
don't,
Damian Lillard is an assassin.
ridiculous. Anyway, this is not a basketball show. I was just curious
Should
because
be.
I like sports, and playoff season in any sport almost is awesome.
Yep.
You know, it's just the best.
I thrive when the hockey and basketball playoffs start.
Oh, I know.
It's like
Yeah, worlds
the
collide.
basketball ones are the ones that end up one series in basketball becomes my main focus, while the rest of hockey usually I'll watch all of them,
Mhm.
unless Montreal's in the playoffs. I don't care about anything else.
Gotcha.
But they're not,
They won't be there for a long
and they
time.
won't be.
At least until the expanded playoffs come into effect, right, Sam?
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe you should be lobbying for it.
Yeah.
I don't want no.
You stand to
fake
benefit.
spot. I want the real thing.
It'll be
fair
it'll
enough.
be the real thing eventually.
It'll be the new real thing. So before we get to the chat questions, I kind of wanted to go through what AJ put together as his leaderboard because I don't think
Oh.
Sam has seen it.
Well,
I did.
let me make
Are you-
sure that
I
this
saw
Okay.
it in the.
Oh, you saw it?
I didn't see where the new names get added, but I can.
I
probably
haven't added
kind
the
of
new
guess.
names.
Yeah,
other than
he is
Parag.
modified. He's modified it. I think since you last saw it. If
I
I'm not
meant
mistaken.
like, did he modify it
Before-
2 hours ago?
like
I haven't
10
added
minutes
Trav.
before the show started.
Hold on.
Oh, okay. Well, at least
Well-
we've got the modified version coming.
His most controversial one is at number 1. That would be Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah, sure. so controversial.
Celebrini. I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him. I don't know. Not like I saw him twice over the weekend or anything.
I don't even know what a Macklin is.
Mr. Ivan Demidov comes in at number 2, which checks out
Yep.
because he rules. He's awesome. Berkeley Catton at 3.
Yep.
Makes sense because
Love
he
how you're
rules.
reading my. You're
I
reading
just want to
my-
see Sam's reaction. I mean,
Okay,
if you
fair
want, you
enough.
can do it. You know, if you want, take it away.
No, I'll
Uh,
let you get the reps in. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, so do I. Caden Lindstrom, number 4 for him. You know, it's a good time. He's back, by the way, playing playoff games for Med Hat. 2 points in 2 games to start.
Heck
But-
yeah.
Yeah, he
so
looked
good for
really
him.
good in the games I saw earlier in the year. So
Right. Yeah, he's the total
Big fan.
package for sure. Alphonse Frey at number 5. He threw him in there, so that's good. Zeev Bouillon, not Shy. Zeev Bouillon. Anton Salayev.
these are the
thrown
guys
in
I've
there.
seen, by the way.
Yeah, this
so
is the guys you've seen. Yeah. So nobody get all mad at him, please. Or if you do get mad at him,
you can get mad at
Don't
me.
bring me-
It's just
yeah, don't bring me into it.
just don't.
That means
You didn't put where's this guy?
Artemanov is probably
Yeah.
next.
What?
And that means Artemanov is probably next. I think
He is not.
No, he's not.
Nope. Cole Eiserman is the
Oh,
next
that's
name on
true.
the
Yeah, I
list.
forgot. We
Cole
just looked at
Eiserman.
these guys.
Then you've got Artyom Levshinov. Then your boy Sam Dickinson, T.J. Ginla, Konsta Helenius, Herman Truff, then Nikita Artemanov,
Sorry,
and Fruzane
Sam.
Parekin at the end.
Sorry, Sam.
I swear I looked at this list like 2 hours ago, and Artemanov was not the second last name.
Yeah,
on
he
it.
reordered it. He went through it again. It's all good.
How did it change so drastically, AJ?
Because Will put names out there, and then I hadn't edited it yet. It hadn't been my spin.
Right.
I think Will just placed guys where he thought I might have them, and then I went
Yeah.
and fixed it.
I like to try to get inside your brain here and there.
Really?
Yeah. No.
It's not a nice place to be.
It's just a dust.
Neither is
just a
mine.
Dust cloud, cartoon animated
No, it's just
tumble going on in there.
it's just an ADHD brain where there's like 5 different feeds coming in all at once, and it's hard to tune out the correct, like tune into the right feed. It's like a radio. You know when you're on the radio, like when you're doing when you're in your car, and you're in a spot where there's a bunch of different radio stations being picked up on one channel. That's what my brain's like.
I haven't listened to the radio in the car in so long.
I don't even know how in my car, honestly.
I accidentally clicked the button. I clicked the button today to swap it off of the default satellite that I also don't listen to.
Right. No, yeah.
And I was like, what is that? Oh my God, the radio is in my car. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I just instantly clicked the Bluetooth button and was like, I never want to hear that again.
Yeah, no, it's all about CarPlay in this household.
Yeah.
You just
We
plug
want
and go.
curated stuff here, not
exactly.
this generic list.
Yeah.
Or
We want an
playlist.
algorithm to do the work for us. I don't want to listen to no DJ.
I make my own playlists.
I do miss ripping down, streets in Burlington with the windows down, blasting Jazz FM 91.1. Just because
It's the most Burlington
Yeah.
thing I've ever heard.
I can't help
What is
I
your-
can't help
my
myself.
What are your cool guys blast
can't
out
help
the window?
myself.
Jazz.
It's I mean, I don't know what other. That's just me though.
I don't know. I
but-
play my playlist correctly titled Gigabrained. I swear on my life.
Sam takes that term everywhere he goes.
I do.
Everywhere he goes. Well, we're gonna flip over to chat questions. So again, Chad, if you have any questions, fire them in there, and we'll get to them when we get the chance. But before we do, we just want to go through the ads again. We're brought to you by Fanatics. You can use our affiliate link below or scan the QR code to provide a small kickback to the show. You can also support us through Puck Preps Hockey, where you get all your NCAA and CHL prospect needs. Again, we've got some good coverage coming up of some USA Hockey Nationals over the next few days.
14U, 15U, and 16U. Actually,
Yep.
I think it's 14O, 15O, and 16U.
Yeah.
And just as a little caveat there, 16U is actually 17 and under. It will be like next year's draft class. U16 is not 16U. U17 is 16U.
Got it?
Because USA looked at
stupid.
us and went, you know what? Why don't we just mess with everybody?
Right. If anything, why don't they just do it by birth year? It's like just this. These are the 07s.
Yeah, but you could also just do 2 letters and a number and like order them differently to
I
mean
guess.
different things. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, why
why
not?
do the thing that makes sense?
Yeah.
Anyways,
But anyway, you can support us through that website where we sort of figure out all that nonsense and madness. At least the hockey's good. We have a
Yeah.
good time. Yeah. We're also brought to you by Fractal Hockey Consulting, which is my business for hand-tracked targeted player analysis and recruitment packages for the NCAA, Europe, and beyond, with solutions for any of your organization's needs. And of course, Scouching.ca, where you can get exclusive access to data tools, a Discord server that everybody seems to love, and some unparalleled insights into draft prospects. By the way, speaking of the Discord server, I just wanted to throw this out there. Week 1 of the Scouching Fantasy Hockey League playoffs has concluded, and your boy upset the number 1 ranked team in the league. If you didn't know, it's a 1 versus 16 format. So there's 16 teams, one place. I was team 16. After an 8-0 start, I finished 11-11. So there's that. But I won.
I started like 7-0 or like 6-0 or something. I don't even know what I finished.
It was so funny. I was actually talking to someone who's in that league this morning because someone messaged me last night that they were leaving the league over the off season. So I said, okay, no problem. We'll find someone else, whatever. And someone messaged me being like, hey, do you know if there's any other teams that are available? Because I know some people might be, interested in a team in a league like this. And I said, I don't know. We'll check. So he went ahead and checked. And there were 3 teams that haven't made a single move since 2023. 2 teams belong to the 2 men on this show that are not named Will.
Sounds about right.
Wait, sorry. What?
2 of the 3 teams that have not made a roster move since 2023 in my fantasy
Yeah, that
league
sounds right.
belong to
excuse me.
Sam McGilligan and
Excuse
producer
me.
AJ Jadot.
I didn't need to make a roster move.
That's true. You made the
I had
playoffs.
trade talks with people when they message me, and then I go, I don't like that.
Oh man.
And it's like, I understand why you're asking for that, but I don't like that. And then
And you just did
I
nothing.
had a plan and a big trade in place, and then I looked at it and went, "Oh wow, look at that, Ryan Johansson!
Right.
He cost $8 million. I don't know why I picked you up.
AJ's really banking on that lottery miracle
Sorry.
again.
I kind of
Oh,
just for
where
stream
did I
purposes,
finish? I didn't. look
Where
at
did
it.
I finish?
You finished. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. You finished. Oh man,
I still actually have
David.
kind of a good team too.
You were
I know I
9 and
do.
you were 9 and 13.
Yeah,
so you
and
didn't
I
make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I don't have defensemen. Like I
Right.
I don't.
Yes. Who's your defense group? Oh my, you have Alex Edler on your roster. What the hell are you doing?
I just
You've
have.
got.
I know, and he doesn't.
I should ban. Dude, Ty Nelson is on your roster, bruh.
Okay, AJ, that's very bad.
You're fired.
I at least have like a roster, and it's a weekly set.
I'll
and I
fix
just
it for
made
next
sure
year.
I checked in.
You've got Cooley and Stankhoven in the minors.
AJ, bruh.
Oh, this is funny.
I lost in
Anyway.
the
I have
first round by 7
Fantilli in the
points.
minors too,
So,
I think too.
you know,
Sam, by the way, you lost in the first
yeah,
round of the
by
playoffs.
7 points. I
You're,
just saw.
you're dead. Yeah,
But I don't know. That's fine. Like I finished 13th. I had a seat. Like I may be on that list, but
It's
I
okay,
wasn't
I'll get
not
Alphonse
like
Frey.
popping in once in a
Yeah.
while to be like, how am I doing? I lost another week.
Mm,
How interesting.
yes.
But that early start made me go, I mean, I've almost guaranteed to be a playoff team, right? I'd have to have like a
made
monstrous
it.
collab. I mean, you went
Yeah.
8-0 and finished 11-11. You still made it. I feel like my
I did.
logic worked out.
I was the worst team to make it, and I got through the first round.
My
Hey, man.
Nick Robertson got me there, honestly.
one league, I have a side. It was like if it works this year, it works. I'm coming out of a rebuild, really talented prospect pool. Lots of guys, just young guys on team, couple vet
Mhm.
signs and stuff like that. So I was like, if it works, it works. Let's just see where it goes. I'm not going to tank. If I make the playoffs, let's just have a fun year with it. And that's how I got to the Final Four. I have no business being in this Final Four. I have no business.
I don't know what it
being where
is.
I am.
I don't know what it is, but like redraft fantasy leagues are just way more up my alley. I think the fact that
I
there's-
hate them.
No, I love them. That's
can't
I
do
think
them.
I think that's why like
I've
I've-
swapped fully to Dynasty.
nah. I put so much more effort into that because you're not as constrained. It really is more in the sense of like fantasy. Like I can have guys like there's no cap. I'm just making ads trying to get the best players I can, which is fun. And like
No,
cycling in guys on a week to week basis. Like there's so much stuff like
that's too much
that.
work for me. I'm too lazy to do that.
But I'm
So-
too lazy to like set my roster for a weekly thing.
You set your roster once for the week, and that's not what.
And if you have a team that doesn't suck, you get to set it once for the year
If
until someone
anything-
gets hurt.
If anything, it's more lazy to not
Yeah.
do that. It's less
No,
lazy
no.
to do.
That's
the
why
more
I get to
involved
just
fantasy.
coast
it's
through your
weird.
league
It's
because I don't
'cause-
have to do anything.
Yeah, and yet I'm way more engaged in the stuff that makes me do way more work during
None
the
of
year.
this makes sense. I
Yeah.
don't understand.
Well-
I don't get it. Anyway,
Well, it's
let's
time
get
to
into the
do our
chat questions.
actual
Yeah,
work.
let's do some real work here. Of course, David Phillips right off the top of the hop here with a random Russian, Rashid Samagulin. That's a real person. We're gonna say that. I know this player. I watched him last year. He's a re-entry. He's real. I don't think he's very good in terms of an NHL prospect, but he
What's his
does
name?
exist. What?
What's his name?
Rashid Samagulin. Do you want me to say it again?
No, just kind of sounds like my name.
Oh, honestly, yeah. Maybe he's like your cousin. I don't know if that is.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
literally what
My cousin, me
the-
and my it's crazy you said that. Me and my cousin Rashid go way back.
Oh yeah.
It's funny
Rashid?
because later on we have another viewer who's like, "Is he related to Sam McGilligan?" And that's our
Oh.
most recent question, which is
There you
great.
go.
Or
Yeah,
chat.
I don't know. I
Uh,
watched Rashid Samagulin a bit this year because he's scoring a bunch of points with what was the team name? Sputnik Almetievsk or something like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, so I don't know. Not my first choice in the NHL draft this year. We got Brian Stewart dropping in, of course, right away. Longtime listener, first time caller. That's a lie.
yeah.
do you think
didn't
Land-
call
do you-
us?
Yeah. Yeah. All of that is a lie. Longtime listener, you're watching the show. First time caller, you haven't called us ever, and it's not your first time asking a question. Anyway, do you think Landon DuPont, with DuPont spelled like the company DuPont, is too small to be the consensus number one in the 2027 draft?
No.
You want to talk 2027 NHL draft for
I
half an
do.
hour? Yeah,
Here's why.
bro. Landon DuPont.
Is
Elite.
insane, and there are very few people in the scouting world I trust emphatically. Joel Henderson is
Puck preps.
one of those people that I trust emphatically. Joel Henderson does not oversing praises of players who do not deserve it. I have never heard him so excited to talk about a
Let me-
young player before than he is with Landon DuPont.
Let me just walk through DuPont's last 10 games in the CSSHL, which, if you're not familiar, the CSSHL 18 under level is basically the best level of AAA hockey, essentially, in
Yep.
Canada. Like, it's prep schools in out west that have great hockey programs, and they all play against each other, and they're great. But Landon DuPont in his last 10 games, who, by the way, just got exceptional status for the WHL draft, the second pro player to get that, besides Connor Bedard, of course. He had a point, then 5 points, 3 points, 2 points, 2 points, 3 points, 6 points, 4 points, 2 points, 1 point. That's the last 10 games. So
What's
he
that
is
total to?
what?
What's that total to?
Well, he's had in the playoffs. He's listed at 16 points in 5 games.
Maybe.
Yep, and he's a defenseman, by the way.
Yeah, he is
Yeah.
a defenseman. That is a key detail.
This is a player that also I have watched. I will say that as well.
I've seen it.
And he is pretty darn good.
He is like it's rare that when you actually see these hyped like 14, 15-year-old kids that there are is like sick.
Yeah.
And then you're watching him and it's
Well,
like, oh my goodness. It's like they took like what he's so insane. His skating ability for his age is
that's the separating thing.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
And like what is he going to be in like 5 years as a skater? He'll be one of the, and this is why for you to answer your question, I do think he will likely go first just because he's got,
we're calling it right now.
if I have
April
to
1st,
pick,
2024.
I'm making an educated guess. I'm going to take the exceptional status kid with unbelievable feet. Like people are always like, is this guy the next Cale Makar? And the answer has always been no, but like maybe this one is.
Yeah.
Like he's
really good.
He's something insane.
But the other thing to keep in mind too is that at his age, kids are also still growing quite a bit, right? At 14 years old, you're not generally anywhere close to finishing your growth. And that's the almighty equalizer when you go from like under 16 or AAA or whatever it is to the major juniors. Like things change a lot. Like I saw a lot of people talking about Ethan Betcheltz, who just won MVP at the OHL Cup this weekend or earlier this week. I watched a bit of that tournament. I don't know. He's just bigger than everybody. He's huge. He's like 6'5", 240 pounds.
I've seen quite a bit of Ethan, actually. Not quite a bit, but I've seen a full shift-by-shift game twice now. Once my own curiosity, once for Puck Prep Scout. Like, I've seen the kid enough to see, like, he's actually got good skill. Like, he's not, like, it's not just because he's beefy and big, but, like, he's the type of player that you see go first in the OHL, and then you kind of see a few years later when everyone catches up, you're like, yeah, there were just more effective hockey players. You don't get that vibe watching Landon DuPont. You do not get that vibe. He's like mentally levels above everyone else. Skating, physical ability, levels above everyone else. Skill levels above everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Just pace and processing is just transcendent for his age.
Pretty good. So yeah, we're predicting things 3 years in advance because we're doing that today.
Next week, we're going to bet whether he or not he makes the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What team he's going to be the general manager of in 2049.
Whatever team he's drafted to.
Which team does he win his 5th Stanley Cup in as the assistant coach?
No. Which team does he hire his son to work for in 2066?
Oh, God.
Which expansion team that doesn't exist will be named after him?
Yeah, when I'm in a gutter somewhere.
When I'm 65.
Yep. With players becoming more talented at a younger age, this comes from the birthday boy, Rayanne, by the way. Should there still be a need for exceptional status? I think so, personally. Just because they're just so young. Like, these kids are so young, especially in the WHL. Like, being 14, like, I can't imagine being 14 and so good at hockey that it's like, well, now you're, being thrust into the major junior hockey cycle. You're playing,
and
like, I think Landon DuPont
away from home. Like, that's the big thing, really.
I think Landon DuPont played 35 games this year or something. The WHL season is basically twice that.
Yep.
It seems like he's going to go to Everett, though, and Everett is a pretty good place for him to land, I would say. They have like an Olin Zellweger. They've had some good defensemen come through there over the years.
They just went through Zellweger.
So it works.
Well with them.
It works out this year, but I don't know. I do agree though that like kids are better younger now, and but I still think that you can't, like, I don't know what the alternative would be.
You just keep it the system.
Yeah, you just keep it all the same.
You'll do more harm than you will good.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Thoughts on Danila Sisoyev? Danila Sisoyev, he's the re-entry.
Was that David?
No, but it's his British buddy.
Yeah, it's his friend J Mulk.
Yeah, who is also part of the Discord server, a beloved and devoted member. Sisoyev is an 06. I thought he was an 05. I've seen him a bit here and there. I did a couple of games of him. Like I liked his skill level. I remember that from back in the day. But then I kind of watched a few games, and it's, when you see a player who kind of leads with skill in the MHL, it's like, well, I could see how you get through some bad players and make it look fancy and score some points and all that. I don't know. With him, it was very like, I also haven't seen him since like November, so I'm also kind of going off of a long-term memory thing here. But I just thought he was kind of fine, a decent skilled guy that maybe gets picked in the 7th round.
Yeah.
David Phillips again. Is Russia the most consistently under-scouted region? It seems like a lot of Russians emerge in North America after being selected later in the draft.
I think that's a fair statement to make, that it's under-scouted compared to other places, especially with this whole, like, we can't get boots on the ground over there, so we're just not going to draft them
right
kind of attitude that some teams have.
Yeah.
I think that Russia has got the weirdest post-draft development where, like, I imagine players of great talent don't get the opportunity to show it as much. And because we're not saying they're watching 30 MHL teams or whatever in great detail throughout the year, we just miss them. And then maybe some of these guys get their opportunities later on. Maybe good prospects get politicked a little bit too much more there than they would elsewhere. Like, it's just, it feels like its own internal ecosystem. Like everything, like, Finnish junior leads to Finnish pro and Swedish junior leads to Swedish pro, and it's all contained over there, but there still feels, I don't know, like there's NHL influence in those leagues to some extent. And then you go to Russia and it's like, no.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think Russia is pretty under-scouted. I mean, Europe in general and Asia in general kind of fly under the radar a lot. I think there's a big bias. Like, just look at the scouting rosters on all these teams, right? Like, look at how many of them are North American, and then they have like one or two Finnish and Swedish guys, and like one or two Czechs and a couple of Russians. It's like, well, just by default, there you're not gonna win, or you're not gonna lose a bunch of arguments if you're a North American guy. So that does kind of go, and I think it turns out like Russia also, like in my view, for over the years, like Russia does play a lot more of a style of play that I think a lot of NHL people think won't work. They lead with a lot of skill, and they lead with a lot of fanciness. I would say a lot of the best Russian players, I think, have a certain level of showiness to them. Like look at a Demidov.
I was gonna say Demidov tried to stick handle his way through everybody instead of using his feet for a year, and probably annoyed everybody who watched them.
I just mean like reputation wise. And I think, I don't know. I do agree though that there's a lot of Russians that just fly under the radar because I think people underrate just how good that, like, I really wish we get the Russian junior team over the last couple of years, because I think they'd be pretty good.
This year they would have had a fantastic roster.
Yeah, they would have had a good team this year. So it's unfortunate. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think that's a fair statement. Who is someone you have seen earlier in the year that you went from meh to, okay, he looks really good? I'll throw maybe Levshinov out there. The first couple of games I watched of Levshinov last year going into this year, I was like, how is this guy going to be a top 5 pick? What is happening?
Levshinov is obviously mine as well, because I've really turned a leaf on him, but I got all the way up till January still watching him going like, what is this? Like, I don't understand. I got sample sized a little bit, I feel like, in terms of missing out on the best of his play. But in the most part, I feel like I just got to see more of his defensive development throughout the year, where you can at least go, okay, yeah, and wasn't spending the whole game at the offensive blue line. At the offensive goal line, looking for tap-in plays and those types of things. Like, he got to turn around that way. Someone else who I think has had a really nice, I wouldn't say I would thought of him as a meh, but I could see a lot of people look at Michael Hage earlier in the year and just be like, what? Okay, whatever. And now he's kind of like really going with it.
He's really
Beckett
turned it on
Seneke
lately,
was one for me where I wasn't getting it until I finally got that one game, and I was like, oh, I get it. Now I'm a big fan of Beckett Seneke.
Welcome to Beckett Seneke's world, right? Yeah, that's how it is.
Eriksson was one who started a little slow and is like really ramped it up.
Yep. That's another one. I would also throw Stein Solberg out there, the Norwegian guy, who I started the year kind of thinking, I didn't have him ranked or anything. I just kind of went, oh. And then watching with the World Juniors, I kind of went, okay, he's back against junior competition and he's doing his thing. And then I watched him more in Norway. I don't know what it is. I'm very curious about a scientific study psychologically of hockey players before and after the World Juniors, because it feels like a whole bunch of them just, once they got to a bit of a lower level of competition and then went back to their higher level of competition, they just look so much more confident. Like Oliver Moore going back to college, Stein Solberg, I thought looked a lot better afterwards. What?
Gavin Brindley when he went back last year was insane.
Yeah, Gavin Brindley's back half was ridiculous this year. So yeah, I don't know if there's something to that, but
there's definitely something.
Maybe it's just survivorship bias or anything, something like that in my brain. And Brian Stewart with a question for Sam specifically. Do you think that Will hates Dickinson so much because his name has old Anglo-Saxon origins, which has close connections to Germans? Or is it just because of his awful pass on Sunday? That was a pretty awful play he made. I don't know if you saw it, but oh boy.
I think Will does not like Sam Dickinson because he has petty hatred for me.
Petty hate?
No, I'm kidding. I don't know. It doesn't surprise me that he's not his favorite player. I think honestly, realistically, what surprises me is how much I've on board with Sam Dickinson.
Ride or die.
Because it's crazy because when I watch him, I'm like, I still get the gut feeling that I get, and I'm like, whatever, you know what? I'm just sticking with it this year. Screw it. But when I think about the argument for and against him, I look at it and I go, I'm usually on the other side of this.
Right.
This is weird for me.
Yeah.
I'm taking the leap of faith here and just kind of going all right, whatever.
Well, time will tell. We'll see what happens.
But I definitely think it's because of the name.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely think it's because of
the Anglo-Saxon part of it.
Absolutely.
Even though my family is about as Anglo-Saxon as it gets.
Yeah, but
almost
not Anglo-Saxon enough for your.
I do have a bit of First Nations in my history, but not much. But other than that, it's basically all Anglo-Saxons. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm the most culturally diverse person here.
Yeah. by a wide margin, I think.
I think it is by a wide margin. I'm like every European nation.
Then how are you only Italian?
I'm not.
But you are.
No.
I've never once heard you go I'm
Italian.
French. You're just I'm Italian. Is what we do.
Not French, but I am English as well. I have some Swedish in me, very small amount. Some Spanish as well.
Communist.
Lithuanian. Ukrainian too, a little bit.
One of you ever been in a call with AJ or just talked to him in general, and he's just like, "Yeah, my family is Lithuanian."
It's all my mom's side. No, it's all my mom's
ancestors.
Side. It's all my mom's side. My dad is just straight up 100% Italian, but it's all my mom. It's all the European Jew. That's what it is. It's all an amalgamation.
Oh, the diaspora. Got it. Yeah. Okay. I see where you're coming from.
My mom is also half British Isles, so.
Right. Wow.
Yep.
Opinions on overager Antonin Varro. I mean, I've been watching Varro off and on for years. I remember watching him when he was a draft eligible. I don't know. Maybe he's an AHL guy to me. I don't know. He's a hardworking, fast, small guy.
A needle mover.
Yeah, not really a guy who blew my mind. I know he's scoring a lot of points this year, but I don't know. AHL guy. Oh no, what did he do? What did he do now? He brings the diversity to the group. Yeah, I mean, it is true.
It is true.
Somalia is pretty unique amongst the four of us. Yeah, I have had Somalian food once in my life, and I loved it. I almost threw up from how spicy it was, but it was really good. So good times had by all, right?
So was not expecting that.
It was just really hot. They should have warned me a little bit, but anyway. Should the NHL playoffs start earlier in the season? Should there be fewer games in the season in order for players to be rested? Yes, but it's never going to happen.
I disagree.
It won't happen,
I like the 82 game season.
It's so many.
I don't care about 82 games. I don't
Whatever
care
gives
honestly
us more
about
cap more salary cap, please. That is my number one priority. The more money the league makes and the more money the players can get
Is
paid,
this
the
all
better.
just so the Leafs can sign their core for their big money? And is that all this is? Like these contracts don't.
Absolutely.
It's a conspiracy.
Okay, so then
No, but I actually
someone
want the
void
league
that
to
man's point.
No, I actually want the league to do well, right? And like to me, the more money it can make, the better chance it's got to grow.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. I'm a product for the consumer person, like in every way, shape, and form. And the league has a lot of money and sucks with it in a lot of ways sometimes. So,
Well,
like, you know what?
it
I'm
does, but
pure, like, cut the games down by a significant percentage. Like, I would be on board with like a 50% cut easy
no.
day one. Someone's like 40 game season. I'm like, done. I'm in. 40 game season. Heck
Okay,
yeah.
I wouldn't do 40.
No way.
I was thinking like 65, and you call
60's
it.
fine.
You
60,
know?
65 is also still very good. But I
It's
would
like that's about where I start to lose interest in the NHL season. It's like I make it like 50.
But I
or
don't
60
want to
games.
just lose, like, keep my interest.
But
I
you're
want
gonna
to
lose
be
interest
more
at some point
interested in
anyways.
each game.
You
No,
are.
but if
You're
I
gonna
have
lose interest
40
in it.
games, like each game matters much more. The standings never get to
Yeah,
be
but
as
it-
far apart. Look
but it
at
creates a more random sample. You get weirder things that happen. Like I don't know. I like the 82 games because I like the splits in terms of how many times you face an opposing team. Like they have it when there was just 30 in the league. It was your own division. You play four times against them all, 3 against conference, and then 2 cross conference, which I really liked. And it's similar to that now. I like that style. I don't know. I'm Mr. Status Quo.
Yeah,
It might be
but
against. It might be like I don't know, against the grain take. I don't know, like not or offbeat, but I like it.
How dare you? Yeah, makes
I like
sense.
the status quo.
Hey,
Just a little
either
bit.
way, it doesn't matter. It's going to stay the same no matter what.
Exactly.
yeah,
So
might as
I'm
well
getting-
just make it like baseball. Let's get 160 games going in a year.
No,
How's
that's
that for
crazy.
salary?
play every day. They play
that's
every day.
crazy.
You have your
Sometimes twice a
you
day.
have your morning game, you have your evening
Yeah.
game, and on a really busy cram schedule, you've got your 3 a.m. game.
Yeah, you got to go to Korea to play a
God.
few games too, and that would be a time.
You got to play 2 games at the same time.
Yep. Oh god, there's just a lot of things about this person being the next to this person. Is Will Smith the next Nikita Kucherov? I mean, no, but Will Smith is
He's
you know,
gross.
quite excellent. Yeah,
Will
he's
Smith
gross.
is insane.
Someone asked a very important question. Thoughts on Sheldon Brookbank versus Quinn Hughes? I mean, it has
Who?
to be discussed.
Who's
Sheldon Brookbank. Sheldon Brookbank is an elite. Was an elite defenseman. I don't know. He I don't know how he stacks up to Quinn Hughes. It might be a close one. I mean, I guess it is a thing where the two of you probably have no freaking idea.
I know
who
the
Sheldon-
name. I just
I
I
have
can't
no
speak
clue
on that.
who this
right?
is.
Yeah. Sheldon Brookbank is one of those. He just played on I think he played on a bunch of different teams and was just kind of bouncing around for a while and was just like a guy. Yeah, he played for New Jersey, Anaheim, Chicago, and Nashville. I believe he was an expansion pick of Nashville. I think. Anyway, no, he wasn't. He was a
What was
little.
his
No,
last year in the league?
his last year in the league in the NHL was 2013-14, where he had 7 points in 48 games. So
Okay.
him or Quinn Hughes, I don't know.
This is why I reckon, because I've been watching obviously since
Right.
back then, so like I recognize the name, but
Yep. Well,
I was a youngin.
I don't know.
Back
Maybe
then,
he
I
needs
was
to come
only
out of
watching the
retirement.
Leafs.
Yeah, maybe he needs to come out of retirement so he can really stack him up. He's 44 years
I
old
think
or
it's
something like
pretty. Is it unreasonable to just say Quinn Hughes by default and move on?
that. Sure, fine, whatever.
Yes.
Quinn
I don't
Hughes
know
is
if I
kind
agree,
of,
but we can
like,
move on.
Insane.
Get outta
Okay, there's
here,
a lot
Will.
of this. Is David Phillips the next Sidney Crosby? Probably. Is Angus Crookshank better than Nick Robertson? Not at all. Will Smith is the next Mark Arcobello. Remember Mark Arcobello? AJ
Oh
might
my
remember him.
God.
I don't
Um,
actually.
NHL Toronto Maple Leaf superstar from when they were tanking for Auston Matthews. I think he was like their second line center or something that year.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
shameful. But I liked Mark
Was that
Arcobello.
the
He was
scorched
solid.
earth year?
He was a good Corsi guy. His Corsi numbers were good. Therefore, he was good.
So what? He was second lane center behind the JVR Bozak Kessel line or whatever.
Something like that. He was behind that. Second fiddle to that.
was Kessel
was
still
bad.
there that year?
No, he wasn't.
No,
yeah,
Kessler
Was he?
would have been off to
I don't think so.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, I think they traded him before that season. Anyway, and someone says Will Smith needs to get over Jada Pinkett. I mean, fair enough. That's fair enough.
Fumbled Margot Robbie.
Thoughts on Vsevolod Filatov of Nizhny Novgorod. I know I've been corrected on how to pronounce that place like 8 times, and now I don't remember how to.
What?
There's too many going. Well, Novgorod. I just Googled his name, and I don't see any elite prospects page coming up. So I think that might be the fake name of the day. Yep, that's the fake name of the day.
Yes,
you
I
nailed
was
it.
waiting
You
for
got
it.
me. Yeah, you got me on that one. I believed that one. That was a good one too, because it was believable.
Can you repeat it?
Vsevolod Filatov. That could easily be a player
That
from
blends
Russia.
in with so many.
It's more
you can
believable than
throw
Rashid
that
Samigulin.
You can throw that
Yeah.
on a list of like 7 other prospects. I go, I hadn't seen any of them, and move on.
Yeah, I did see David Phillips post a top 200 and something player list on Instagram, and Vsevolod Filatov may very well have been on that list, and no one knows who that is. Brian Stewart with some news for the show. AJ, you might be interested in this.
Oh, okay.
What do you know of the newest Leaf prospect, Jacob Quillian,
Nothing.
who is a Quinnipiac University player who had 46 points in 39 games, who has just signed a contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I still think Colin Graff drives the bus on that team, but from my tiny samples of watching Quinnipiac this past weekend, Quillian looks real good. You know, we'll see what happens. He's 22 years old. He just turned 22. Dartmouth, Nova Scotia boy. So he's out from out east. He's a Maritimer. And I don't know. I haven't seen him enough to give you a good breakdown of him, but I thought he looked pretty good in the games that I saw. So that's fun. But he's not Colin Graff. I love my boy, Colin Graff. But we'll see. My poorly worded question the other day was, do you think Bogdan Konyushkov and Adam Engstrom have top 4 defense potential? No, I don't think so. Engstrom maybe if he finds a really good fit. I like Adam Engstrom, but I mean I think those guys are just, especially with what Montreal already has.
Just like Norlinder 2.0, but honestly, I think I like Norlinder a little more at the time too than I did.
Right. I mean, Konyushkov, I've seen him a bunch this year because of how much I've seen Artemonov and Silayev.
He's just been. Let's put it this way: I watched multiple games of both of them before I learned that he played on that team.
Right.
I saw the name once and I was like,
"That's that guy."
Isn't that like? Is that the same name as the? And then I looked and I went, "Oh,
yeah."
And I watched and I went, "Oh,
yeah." Thoughts on whether or not I should text her or move on? Always move on.
Move on.
Move on. If you're asking the question, the answer is
send more details.
Not to her, to us.
Yeah, to us. Privately send it to us. Yeah. Martians have a death ray pointed at Earth. Who do you want taking a face-off? Daniil Sarazetdinov or Murat Huznadinov?
Murat.
No, I'm going with Sarazetdinov for
Why?
sure. Yeah. Because underdog. Go for the underdog.
There's a death ray pointed at you, you dink.
That's true. You're always supposed to bet with the house, right?
There's a death ray pointed at you and you won't take the guy you've championed for years.
I am just trying to be a contrarian. Give me Iguodala.
Oh my.
I want Iguodala. That's a classic for me in my head. Even though I don't know much about basketball, that's a classic TV basketball moment for me. I love that.
I don't remember what the context of that
They were
was.
talking about like the best player in the league or something. If you had to win a championship with one player, and the obvious answer at the time was Steph Curry. It was like when Steph Curry had like 800 3 points.
It was his 20. It was the 2015-16 season after
and Iguodala,
the first championship.
I think he won the MVP.
He won MVP that year. It was like the most historic offense. That I'm pretty sure is a 73-9 year.
Yeah.
LeBron was also still LeBroning and was like still the answer you give when you wanted to win a championship. Plus, he won it that year.
Yeah.
And it was like, give me Andre Iguodala. It's like, okay, click on that Finals MVP.
I love it. On a real note, why I don't know why more players don't play in the World Championship. I feel like it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's because you've just played 82 games
Yeah, I feel
of
like
hockey, and you're probably broken
I would
and
not
tired.
want to do anything if it's not the playoffs.
It's like, you know what sounds like more fun than going to the Czech Republic and playing more hockey with people you've never played with before, and some of whom may not be in the NHL.
Traveling
Golfing.
the world.
Like, maybe not for me, but if I'm a hockey player, I'm probably preferring to go golfing in
I wanna
Scottsdale
go
or
golfing
something.
now.
Yeah, I don't golf, but yeah.
I do. I shouldn't, but I do.
Oh, okay. Why shouldn't you golf?
Oh, I'm terrible.
Oh, well, but that's nothing. Everybody's terrible at golf.
Yeah, no, I was really happy when I finally, because this was my first golf year, and I was really happy when I walked out, hit a couple of really bad shots, and then discovered, oh, wow, look at that. Everyone else sucks too.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
just watching balls go everywhere but straight, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if golf were put as many balls in the lake as you can, I'd be so good at that.
Yeah, I know.
I'd be so good at that. Or how many blades of grass can you trim with the golf ball when you hit it? I'd win that one too.
Remind me to show you a golf video after the stream.
Oh, okay. All right. I love golf. I love the idea of golf. I just hate golf.
Me. It's hilarious.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll look forward to that. Pierre. Oh no, I'm not reading that one. A lot of talk about Minnesota getting 2 teams. Any thoughts on Servac Petrovsky re-entering the draft? Do you think he gets picked up in 2024, and where? I wouldn't draft him. I mean, he was a 7th round pick already. I get the feeling he's going to go undrafted and head over to, I think he's Slovakian.
Yeah.
Just go back home and play in Europe for a while. I don't know. I've seen him a little bit here and there. He's one of these like smart guys, but I don't think he's really developed a tremendous amount over the last few years.
It's hard to be in the NHL.
Yes, it is also very hard to be in the NHL. I mean, maybe he doesn't get drafted and gets given a tryout contract or something, goes to the minors. 55 points in 57 games this year for Owen Sound. I just don't think that, like, when would you draft him? I don't know. There's probably going to be guys late that are better options. Tristan Bertucci just signed an ELC with Dallas. What do you think is his upside? I don't even know how he's been this season, to be perfectly honest with you. Tristan Bertucci. I don't know if you watched much of Bertucci last year. I watched him a lot towards the end of the year. He's had a lower scoring season than last year, but as from what I remember of Flint this year, he's been okay.
Yeah,
good skater. You know, there's a lot, you know, it's an ELC. I get the feeling, like, I think he's a bit of a long shot to crack that roster, but it's not impossible. He leads with his feet. He's a good skater. There's a lot of
him
good
in Texas and see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. I imagine he'll be back in Flint next year, so you slide that contract a year, but yeah, I don't know. He's also quite young. June birthday. Good stuff. I mean, I'm happy for anyone who gets an ELC, to be honest. It's more money than I'm making. Is Owen Beck really good, or is Saginaw just propping him up? Yeah, Owen Beck just has been on a rip.
Owen Beck is really good as a junior player. Saginaw is really good at elevating really good junior players. He looks unreal. Don't think the production matches what he's bringing to the NHL, but he's still going to be a good player for the Habs.
He has had 14 goals in his 14 points in his last 6 games.
I was going to say 14 goals in his last what games?
2. He's had 3 goals in his last 10. They're just for posterity. But in his last 6, he has a ton of points. I've seen a lot of chatter about him. I like Owen Beck. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought the World Juniors were an interesting thing to see him play. It was like, you see, he's just smart, moves the puck pretty well, but against really good players, I don't know if he's ever going to be like a massive producer, but I like him. I respect the game.
Yep. He'll be in when Montreal takes the next step and most of this roster gets overturned.
Yeah.
In the process, and we reach that point where we have a new bottom 6 that's more playoff ready and actually kind of competitive with other playoff team bottom 6s. Beck will be like the key guy on that third line, or like the second guy. Yep. And will be like, if you're hurt, you can move him up the lineup to a top 6 role, and he won't look as bad as like all of the ones we have now if we were to do that. So he'll be an improvement in that sense. Is he like a core piece? I don't know. I don't think so.
Most prospects aren't.
Personally, I think Owen Beck is trade bait.
Maybe.
He's been my theory of like when Montreal makes their inevitable big trade this year for some other player.
Inevitable.
It's
inevitable.
Whenever they take the next 2019
Okay.
draft reject or maybe 2020 draft reject.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Whenever they grab one of them and then somewhere else in the summer, they'll make a deal. I don't think Owen Beck will be involved in that, but I think in the next, once they've accrued like their young core and it's time to start selling off prospects and picks to get those last few pieces, I think he's going to get involved like 2 years from now. One of those
I
trades.
wonder
Let's
who
see.
Sam is talking about.
Yeah.
Who could
might you have in
be?
mind?
Who could it be?
It's actually not Zegras, although I wish it would be.
That would be awesome. That
It's
would be a lot
based
of fun.
on that like completely baseless Marco Rossi rumor. Actually,
Maybe it's going to be Rodion Amarov, maybe?
Jesus, Will.
I don't know. I'm just looking at the 2020 draft and players that may fit that bill. I mean, I don't know. There aren't that many where I'm like, wow, this guy could be great, like Dylan Holloway or Lucas Reichel. I like Lucas Reichel a lot, but he has been brutal this year, unfortunately.
yeah,
But
there's
he's
maybe
gonna-
not as many, but I
he'll
don't know
get
if Rossi
runway,
is
I
actually
think.
available.
Oh, of course. He's still
If
young.
Rossi is available, I actually do see Montreal
I
going
do
after him.
not.
I
see
cannot
that
imagine them
happening.
trading him.
I don't think it's that happening either, but I don't know where that stupid rumor came from.
Well, I think it was more that that if Minnesota wants to make an upgrade, he's probably a guy.
If that's the source of the rumor, then people
Yeah.
who say those types of rumors need to shut your face.
shut your
Agreed.
face.
Shut your face because
Yeah.
some other people are taking it and going crazy with it.
Well, that's
all
just
right.
that's
Because
the
by the time
internet.
I saw it a few times on Twitter, I was like, I don't believe this, and I don't
Yeah.
think it's gonna be real. But if it is real, like we
I
better
think-
get him.
I think I saw Michael Russo, who I trust in the Minnesota area to cover the team well. He someone mentioned that, and he's like, I don't know where you heard that, but
Okay, well then that's
can't-
all I need.
Yeah,
to know.
he's like,
Never
I
mind.
think that's
So,
what he said. He's like, I can't imagine that's going
all
to
right, we're
happen.
back on the Trevor Zegras train.
Yeah, Trevor Zegras for sure. Maybe. No, probably not. Anywho. Oh, by the way, I just saw this clicking through my tabs, and it's a fun little note. The QMJHL playoffs have started. Every single series is so far shutting out the other team 2-0. Every single series. There's no 1-1 series yet. So I thought that was a nice little tidbit. Anyway,
fun.
let's keep moving on here. Do you think if the Hawks get the second overall pick that they're going to take a forward or a defenseman? I mean,
I get the
They need-
sense that,
they need everything.
I
They get to take whatever works for them.
yeah, it'll probably be best player available for them because they've got a lot of needs to fill. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have anything outside of first line center, like secure.
Right.
second line center as well.
Yeah, like Oliver Moore's been good. Sam Renzel's had a better year than he did last year. Nick Lardis had 29 goals in 37 games this year.
Yeah, they've got
That's
fun
not bad.
pieces for sure.
But I mean, to me, it's like you just pick who you think is the best player. And I mean, the idea of Ivan Demidov setting up Connor Bedard is so stupid. Like, it's like, is that more enticing than Artyom Levshinov with Connor Bedard?
I don't
To
care
me,
who
yeah.
the center is.
Like,
Like,
yeah.
to me, it's the exact same situation as when Cole Caulfield got drafted, and so many teams who have unbelievable playmakers were like, yeah, let's pass on this guy. Like,
Yeah.
Connor McDavid could be teammates with Cole Caulfield, and Edmonton went, nah, let's go for Philip Broberg. Like, that is so insane to me. Like, it was crazy at the
Jeez,
time.
man, you're really bringing this up on Rand's birthday.
Yes, I am, because he's with me. I know he's with me. It's
He is
welcome
with
to
you, but-
adulthood, boy.
But he's gonna be crying. Come on,
I don't care.
Oh man, Philip Broberg got done dirty there.
Am I
But
wrong?
no, you're not wrong. It's actually amazing how many teams did that. I remember watching that draft. Every pick that went by after 8, I was like, is he falling because he's small? And then when we walked up to the podium, I was like, there's just no way this front office is going to do it.
And they did.
And then they took him, and I remember I was like out in public at like a friend's house and just watching it on my phone screen in a corner, and I just screamed, and everyone looked at me like it was weird.
Yeah, like Arizona has Clayton Keller. They said no. They took Victor Soderstrom. Anaheim took Zegras. The rest of them, I think, are relatively forgivable. But good lord,
Philly
like
Can
yeah, Philly
York?
had right, but like I'm thinking like teams that had like
star
easy
forward
option to
that
put with him to help him score goals. Florida with Barkov, they said no. They took Spencer Knight.
Yeah.
Minnesota took Matthew Boldy. Vancouver had Podkolzin, Pedersen, Caulfield, JT Miller and Cole Caulfield,
Brock Besser and Quinn Hughes.
Brock Besser. Holy smokes, that would be something. I mean, so yeah, to me, it's like if it's me, I have Connor Bedard, I've got, Oliver Moore, I've got some other good pieces lying around. Like full send, man. Like let's just keep it rolling.
62.
If you want it, you take Demidov.
Oh, he's got 62
He's got
now.
62 now. It's his
that's
second
62
empty
for
net
Auston
goal of the
Matthews.
season.
An empty netter. I
Hey.
really wish they would track those separately. I feel like
They
those
do.
are
At some
no,
level.
but I mean like deduct them from goals. Deduct them from goals scored because come on.
Suddenly, I
well,
completely agree with you.
then I wouldn't have gotten to see
Suddenly, I
Auston
completely
Matthews'
agree with
first
you.
50
Suddenly,
because it was an empty net goal that I was there for against
Right.
Winnipeg, which was pretty cool.
I think it means that Auston Matthews is fraudulent
Because he has 2 empty netters all
yes.
season.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Fraudulent.
Fraud.
Proud. I don't know. Is that Family Guy? Is that really Family Guy? Anyway. Hey guys.
You're a great big phony.
Yeah. Anyway. David says that I'm working on a holy day. That's true. I'm taking a long weekend this weekend, so I'm postponing my long weekend. The Canucks have Lekaramaki, the defenseman version of Elias Pettersson, and Sawyer Mineo in Abbotsford for the final games of the year. Do you think giving them a cup of coffee in North America will help in any way? Well, I'd like to see what Lekaramaki does in the AHL and see how he does because he's been great this year.
Yeah, I think Lekaramaki is not even a cup of coffee. Like Lekaramaki is here. Like this is a thing.
I think Pettersson. I mean, I don't have a ton of expectations for that Elias Pettersson. I think he'll be a good sort of defense first guy, maybe if he turns out. Sawyer Mineo, again, similar, like just a good, safe defense first guy. Maybe there's a thing there, but I'm much more interested in Lekaramaki.
Also, what is it with doubles, like doubles of superstar players in the NHL? There's 2 Jack Hughes.
Yep.
You have
2 Elias Pettersson.
2 Sebastian Ahos.
2 Sebastian Ahos.
What's going on?
Yeah, where's the next Connor McDavid, right? There's 2 Connor Browns. There's a Connor Brown in the USHL.
There's
Connor Brown.
there's 2 Matt
Superstar
Murrays.
Connor Brown. Oh yeah, there's 2 Matt Murrays in the NHL, I believe, right?
I think the other one got a cup, got 1
Yeah.
start in the NHL, maybe this year.
It counts. 2 questions. Who would be a good comparable for Consta Hellenius style of play in NHL career-wise? Well, that's the hard part for me with him because I don't really have a good answer.
I tell you, it's definitely not Sebastian Aho.
I don't think it is.
He's not as fast.
No, he is not.
He doesn't have the same skill and intensity.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
I don't like, this is why I always say I'm just not good at these types of questions because they are.
I just don't have
hard
enough
to
knowledge
answer.
of every NHL player to be like, yes, this is a good example.
Yeah,
like,
you can either watch all of the prospects and be good at that, or you can watch all the NHL players. But
Right.
Man, is it hard to do both and
It's
start
very
like
difficult.
making those comparisons that not suck.
But I mean, like really smart, maybe a little bit small center who's willing to be physical. I don't know. And this is also the problem with him for me, right? Like, it's like, well, if I don't really know who he kind of reminds me of, what is he going to be, right? Like, I don't, is he Frank Vetrano, sort of a smaller guy who goes around and plays smart and can score goals? I don't know. I'm just talking out of my behind now because I don't really have a good answer, honestly, which is unfortunate. I'm not sure if he's a free agent, but do you think anyone will pick up Jake Martin of Quinnipiac? Probably not. I mean, I would give him an AHL deal because, I mean, I was actually watching him. He didn't play for Quinnipiac, I don't think, this weekend, and he only plays like 4 or 5 minutes a night with them. But, I mean, I think he still looks pretty good doing that. He just doesn't score any points. So, I don't know.
He's always just a good defensive player.
If it were me, I'd put him on my AHL team. I'd be like, hey, buddy, you want to come play some AHL hockey and see what you can do? Because I think there's something there. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And there's no rush, especially because he's not playing every game for them. And it's like 5 minutes a night. Like, be patient. Let's try that again. How would you evaluate a player who is quick to adapt to a new level of play? Would it show bigger potential for improvement?
It's always a huge plus for me personally. Like, I'm looking for guys who, there are a lot of reasons for this type of adjustment to happen. So you're hoping it's not just like a fluke. Like, you obviously want to watch for a decent enough sample to get the idea that like they can hang there.
Yep.
But being able to jump up a level in pace and still play your game effectively, and in some ways even find new strengths, is a really valuable trait, considering the end goal is to get into the NHL. Like, it reveals a lot about a player when they can move up a level and just instantly click there as well. Like, look at Zach Benson. Like, everyone thought maybe he'd hang a little bit, but like, he doesn't look playing. He looks solid, and you can see everything working out. And the same story was him when Benson was in the WHL draft. It was like, he just showed up in the dub. Was not a highly touted prospect. And day one, everyone was like, wait, this kid has just immediately made it. Like, instantly made it in terms of pace and processing, problem solving, recognizing when space is there and how it opens up for WHL. And he did it in the NHL again. It's a thing. Like, it's obviously not every player is Zach Benson, but it is a big deal when someone is able to make that jump up, because it reveals a lot about how they can process the game itself. And if you can't process the game properly, then you aren't making it to the NHL.
Yeah. I mean, I would also say that I think that you can also kind of tell the players that I think would jump up and do okay.
Yeah, it's you can kind of predict it ahead of time
in a way. Like, I watch a crap load of hockey, and like, for example, just throwing this out there because it's the first one that came to mind, but watching Dalibor Dvorsky play junior competition, I can see why he wasn't getting minutes in the Swedish Pro League, right? Like watching him with Hockey Allsvenskan last season and with AIK, you could see, I was sitting there going, I could see how he's scoring against junior players, but really not struggling at this level, really struggling.
Look at Linus Eriksson this year.
He's the opposite.
He's seamlessly stepped into the Allsvenskan and played at their pace so well, where it's like, you just get how to play hockey.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys where I think you put him with better players and he looks better. Right. Which is counterintuitive.
Some guy, well, not necessarily, because some players genuinely, hockey is a team-based game at the end of the day. Your actions are directly tied to how you play off your line mates. If you don't trust your line mates to make a read, you may see something that is an opportunity, but if you also go, he's not getting me that puck, you're not cutting into that space. You're going to do something else entirely. It's not, hockey players are kind of like artists in a way, and they're inspired by different things, and some of them just aren't really in inspiring places, and when they move up a level, suddenly that inspiration comes, and they're making cool little art all over the ice. Like, it's weird, but it makes sense. When you move up and you're playing with guys who get the game, you just get to play the game without having to, like, off instinct. And that really does help some players.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah. So I guess it is interesting though, to see them. And it's why I love hockey outside of North America, because you get to see so much more flexibility.
Oh yeah.
And you get to see how they play against grown people, and maybe they go back to junior and you see how it goes there, and blah, 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 blah. I love the study of this, essentially, and it's been interesting to see players over the years go up levels and how they perform based on how they play at lower levels. Following up on Justin Poirier, is there anything there? If not, who would you consider the best player in the draft under 5'9"? So unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to actually track the game of Poirier as I said I would do. Long weekend and everything, and now puck preps is my life. But I did watch a bit of him the other night. I mean, I still really struggle with him. I feel like he's a better version of who was that kid in Quebec a few years ago that was like 5'8" and shot the
Cote?
That's the one. Justin Cote, Tyler Patrick. I don't know. Something
Justin. It
Cote.
was Justin.
It was Justin.
Yeah.
He reminds me of like a bit of a faster, straight up and down the ice version of him, where I still don't think it's enough. I don't even know what Justin Cote is doing nowadays. It like Poirier has been better than I thought he was at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
But it's still a lot of volume shooting. But I will take a closer look at him. But if the follow-up question is, if it's not him, who would you consider the best player in this draft class under 5'9"? On my list, the number one name that's below 5'9" is Alexander Zetterberg, who's 5'8", and he is in my late second round, I believe. Mid-second round.
I definitely would take Zetterberg over Poirier.
Yes. Zetterberg is very interesting. That's a player who I thought started, and I was like, yeah. And then I watched more of him, and I went, okay. Like, especially internationally, you see a lot of like explosiveness there. He's, mobile. He's creative. There's a lot to like about him. But again, like, I think he'll be drafted really late because he's going to
probably go undrafted.
Well, I'd be surprised. Central Scouting had him at like 18th. I think in Europe. So I don't know.
I'd be a 5th round pick or something like that.
I mean, if he's a 5th round pick, I'd probably get a chance to take him, and I think I would in the 5th round. Why not? I don't know. A lot of people talking about how Rashid Samagulin is not a real name. Dean Letourneau, question mark. Oh God, there's so much talk about Dean Letourneau. I don't know how much of him you have seen.
I've seen a bit.
To me, Dean Letourneau really reminds me of like Nick Bjugstad, right? Like that's the vibe. Like everyone's talking about Tage Thompson.
He's not.
And I think to me, like also it's like you cannot compare a player playing in Canadian high school as a draft eligible to playing in the NCAA as a draft eligible, right? Like I don't think Letourneau is going to the NCAA next year. I think he's going to Sioux Falls for next year and then going to the NCAA.
I believe that is the path.
I see much more of a Nick Bjugstad there. Like Nick Bjugstad scored a ton in high school in Minnesota. Good skill for a big guy, really good shot, which I think Letourneau has. But I don't know, like a smart puck mover, but I think he's going to be pretty limited in the NHL when push comes to shove. But he'll play. Like you park him in front of the net, he can make things happen.
Yeah.
He's a very big boy. So
yes.
It sounds like you had more.
I agree with everything you're saying. There's been a few plays where Letourneau has like caught a puck, corralled it, used his reach, controlled the puck really well, like kind of looked one way, changed the angle on pass, sent it somewhere else. It's all really cool stuff. Not really in motion because he doesn't really have that part of his game.
Right.
I think if you are an NHL team and you have someone who you really trust in and who's proven, who can look at him and be like, I can get that agility up. I can get that mobility going. I can get him kind of, I thank you.
Continue your thoughts.
I can improve. I can make him an in-motion player. I think there actually is something there because he's a pretty smart player. He's got skill. I don't know. The other big question is what type of pace is he going to be able to bring at higher levels? Like when he got his little USHL cup of coffee, I was pleasantly surprised that he didn't look out of place in terms of like recognizing where play was, but I saw his feet weren't enough to keep up with play. Yeah. And that's only going to get exasperated a lot. Yeah. So it's interesting. I almost definitely think he plays in the NHL just because he's that size. He's almost definitely going to be a first round pick. He's got just enough for an NHL coach to be interested in. And there is a path forward for him where we look back and go, well, look at that. It worked out.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. And like, I agree with the USHL thing. Like, I know it's, it's a new level of hockey. It's probably the hardest level he's ever played at. He's got to adjust and he only played 2 games. But also, like, I can't tell you how many times I've watched guys that play like Minnesota high school and then they play in the in the USHL for 2 or 3 games. And you go, this kid looks really good at this level too.
Yeah, that's
know,
it. Like, especially because when you're gonna see it next year with 16U Nationals, when a lot of those kids are gonna look really good there. Like
Yeah.
Dean Latorno would look at this level,
Right.
and then they're gonna go to the USHL, and you're gonna go, oh,
Yeah. I mean,
man.
look,
And
someone
a few
will
will be sick.
like there is an argument. Like if you have the 30th pick overall and you think your development team is really good, and like, you know, looking at you, Toronto Maple Leafs, and if you think that you can take a 6'7" center and morph it into, I don't know, screw it, Tage Thompson. I mean, what other options would you have at the 30th overall pick or whatever to pick something else? You know, like, or what else are you going to get? If you get a third line guy or a second or third pair defenseman at 30th overall, you've done a great job.
Yep.
You know, especially if you're a contending team, it's a great job. So I get the argument, but I think there's going to be better players that I'd rather, playing at higher levels especially, that I'd rather take the chance on.
Yeah.
Follow up. Also, I took a page out of that one guy that was in the stream and was high on edibles book, and I tried edibles on Easter Sunday. They were awesome. Well, good for you.
I'm sorry.
To do that on the Lord's Day.
What?
Did you? Oh, maybe you weren't in the show that day. There was
He
someone who was
wasn't.
on
He
edibles.
wasn't.
I was here, but
it
I just,
Thursday?
this is why I feel like I just need to have this reread because I think I just
Someone,
jumbled.
You weren't
someone
here on
was high.
Thursday.
Yeah, I was on
Oh.
Thursday, I think, and someone was on edibles the whole show, and was just, you know, really hammering away at chat questions while high on edibles, and it was great. It was a great time. We had a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Respect.
I don't condone drug use, but you know, do what you're gonna do.
Be
Which NHL
responsible,
team?
kids.
Yeah, be responsible, especially you, Rayanne. Now that you're 19, you troublesome troublemaker. Which team in the NHL is playing Moneyball right now? I mean, I would throw Carolina
I
out
was
there.
just gonna say
Yeah.
Carolina feels like the team.
Carolina's doing the thing that also is part of Moneyball, where it's like we have so many things to play with that we now need to sell the things to get a really good thing. You know, it's like I'm going to sell 1 million really good loaves of bread to buy a car, and they got their Jay Gensel, right? It's so that's the other side of it. I guess 1 million loaves of bread would buy more than just a car.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
think you could. Are you getting a Ferrari with the 1 million loaves
Maybe.
of bread? Actually, you would still get. You'd get quite
Probably
the
get a
car.
probably get a hell of a car for 1
You'd get
million
it
loaves of bread.
Probably like it'd be wholesale, I imagine. So you're not getting much more than like $1. You still get it if you got $1 million for 1 million loaves of bread. I feel like you come out ahead there because you kind of got $1 million.
Now, here's a question. How big is a loaf of bread? Like, how would you, what's the most efficient method to transport 1 million loaves of bread? Maybe a C-30, like what are those hurricane planes called? A C-130 Hurricane?
I was gonna one up you and say a cargo ship because
Oh, yeah, true. Drive up to the car dealership in a container ship. Or the car dealership in a
what were you
container
gonna do?
ship and
Land the plane on the dealership?
airdrop it.
Airdrop it.
Airdrop 1 million loaves of bread. Anyway, let's get back on track here. At what pick do you say it's a steal to get Cole Yzerman? That's a very good question. It's a very good question for literally only the two people sitting in this room.
I will say it almost doesn't matter because the team that drafts him, their fans, when he starts outscoring goals on the power play compared to everyone else drafted before him, will be like, we got the steal of the draft. So it's like, it's whatever number he goes.
Like if he slips around to, like, if it were me, you could start convincing me to draft him around like maybe 8 or 9. I'd say is around where you could start to, you know, sprinkle that fairy dust in there a little. But if he gets to like 20,
no, that would be ridiculous.
That's easy. That's an easy. Like he's 16th on my list. I think if he gets there, I'm happy because he's the last ranked guy on a tier that stretches from 5 to 16. So if I get him at 16, I'm happy.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So sure.
The math is mathing.
Yes. Someone compared Consta Hellenius to Anton Lundell. I remember watching Lundell. I don't see that really at all. What else do we have here before we take off? My closest comparable for Anton Saliva is Johnny Gaudreau. What are your thoughts on that? Well,
how is the drugs?
How is the edibles?
It
Yeah.
is David Phillips who sent that, I believe.
Yeah, David Phillips just coming at it.
He also
Question
sent
for
me a
AJ.
terrible question.
Yeah, this is just for AJ, so I got to get this one right. Which destination is most likely for when Auston Matthews' contract expires in Toronto. I think LA or Arizona is likely.
I
personally.
think Toronto is the most likely destination.
I
for
think
his contract
Farjestad.
after. Definitely
When does his
not.
contract expire?
In 5 years.
Farjestad.
So we're gonna predict the future.
He'll sign
for
another
what,
contract
2029?
with the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. He's going to sign another like 5-year deal with the Leafs. He's going to become the highest paid player again, and that's what it's going to be.
2028, he's eligible for a new contract. So Landon DuPont's going to go first overall in 2027, guaranteed as of today. And Auston Matthews is going to, I guess, re-sign in Toronto, make $1 billion. Yeah, make like $18 million.
Maybe 16 mil at the high end, maybe. No, but
We'll see.
I like this is my actual guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's not impossible, especially if the salary cap, quote unquote salary cap increases that they've been harping about actually happen.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be around 15. 15.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. We will hold you to that. And if you're wrong,
Do you accept loaves of bread?
I thought he was gonna get paid 13 for this year. A couple of years ago, I thought he was gonna get 13, and he's what, at 13 and a half is what he ended up signing for.
I believe so. Yes.
So I wasn't that far off with 4 years out the last time. So
right. Well, there's your edition of today's segment of AJ is a soothsaying genius. So maybe he's right about Auston Matthews.
The words, the kind words.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think
well, on that note,
the 70 goals because he's at 62 now. All he's got to do is get 8 and 8.
All he has to do. Just score 8 goals in 8 NHL games.
Yeah,
easy.
I can do it in Rocket League.
Again, he scored 51 in 50 games.
People got
It's just crazy that it's just crazy to say that those words together in a sentence are crazy to me. If only this guy could make it to 70 goals, but all he has to do is score a goal every single game between now and the end of the season.
It's doable.
But that's the crazy part is that it's doable.
It is.
He could score a hat trick and
he could have 71.
Question.
He could have 71 for all we know.
He could have 93 and break Wayne Gretzky's record.
Nah, okay, come on.
He could get to 100. Why not? 30 goals in 10 games? 40 goals in 10 games? I mean, come on. Oh, J Milk with a great question to close off the show, or a great statement. Auston Matthews goes to the Manchester Storm to play with the future Liam Kirk ripoff Connor Lee. Elite NHL prospect Liam Kirk. Actually, I do like Connor Lee. He's fun to watch, but in any case, I think that'll be it for this show for the evening, unless you fellas have anything you would like to share before we leave.
I always get last thoughts, so Sam, go first.
Yeah, Sam's shirt might have something to say.
I couldn't find the pink one. Actually, that's not true. I found it. It just wasn't. I had it. It was wrinkled, and this was hung up. And I was honestly, I feel like this gets the job done.
Honestly, I prefer that one.
Yeah, this one's got. There's matching shorts. It's like a full out. It's like a full body outfit, matching shorts and all.
Right.
Just picture me in Cuba at the end of January, walking around, shirt open like this and the shorts, and that was it. Just,
I can see that.
Yeah,
very nice.
Those vibes.
I mean, Raybro just asked if we could arm wrestle.
It's his birthday. Give it to him. Give him what he wants.
That's true. It is his birthday. Do you want to arm wrestle?
Sure.
Do you want to provide consent to arm wrestle?
Sure.
All right, let's do this.
It's probably move the water.
Yeah, move the waters. All right, let's see how this goes.
I have no idea how this is gonna go.
I'm gonna lose. I'm ready to lose. You're a big boy.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Believe in yourself.
3, 2, 1, go. Oh
shit. It's on for you, Ray, bro.
I'm so concentrated right now. I'm fully. Oh, you're a big boy. You're a big boy.
He put everything into that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations. You won that. That wasn't.
Sometimes those who are undersized end up victorious. Yeah.
Get out of here. You guys are both over 6 feet, undersized.
No, I'm 6 feet. You're taller than me.
Yeah.
He's 6'4", 6'5".
Doesn't matter. You guys are both 6 feet plus. Don't call yourself undersized, Will. You're not 5'10", 145
I feel
pounds
like relative
me.
to his point he's making, it gets to work.
You're not undersized.
This is gonna come out the wrong way, but I think I'm in a different weight class as well. I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean in a literal way.
No, that's pretty. It's a pretty fair statement.
You know, so if this was MMA, we probably would never fight each other.
Definitely not.
Yeah, probably not. Therefore,
definitely,
I'm literally punching above my weight class tonight.
He is punching above.
That's a good thing.
He's
anyway,
wrestling above his weight class right now.
We're getting completely out of control. I don't have my notes in front of me, so the ad read's probably going to be a mess. But we're brought to you by Fanatics. You can use our affiliate link in the description or click the QR code in the stream window. We'll get a kickback on anything you buy in the store.
Yeah, click it.
We're also brought to you by Puck Preps. Yeah, click it. Click all the things. We're also brought to you by Puck Preps Hockey, where we're going to have excellent coverage of the upcoming
Absolutely
USA Hockey
stellar
Nationals. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to watch some Little Caesars play some Honey Baked. It's going to be great. What else is happening? Oh, we're brought to you by Fractal Hockey Consulting as well, where you can get a bunch of really cool information from hand-tracked targeted databases that help, recruit players and get players recruited. I told you this was going to be a mess. And of course, we're brought to you by Scouting.ca, where you can get a growing list of exclusive content, a Discord server that everyone seems to love, and a really fun fantasy league, or at least first dibs on that fantasy league, with a couple of teams coming up for sale. Hopefully we have our managers that have been inactive be a little more active because they're sitting here with us.
Kiss my ass.
God. And tons of data tools that you won't find anywhere else for the NHL draft and prospects on the way to the NHL.
Sponsored by the UFC now.
Yeah, sponsored by the UFC. Yeah. Or what's the international arm wrestling thing now? Like, you can arm wrestle professionally now. That is one of the coolest things. But also, I love the slap fights. Those slap each other in the face as hard as you can until someone gives up or passes out fights.
Oh,
those are fun.
Those are insane.
Yeah, they're fun.
Those are I watched MMA my whole life.
Are we doing
and
an outro?
I don't
No,
I don't
we gotta get
scream
out of
at
here.
combat sports.
Sam, shut up. We got to get out of here.
But
Okay.
the slap fights are nuts.
Thank you for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Again, there's going to be no Thursday show. I'm out of town, but we'll be back next Monday, and we'll have some fun.
We'll have some
fun then, too.
content.
We would.
Potentially.
And we'll have some content. Yeah, we do have some content on the way. Filmed some stuff today, so stay tuned for that. Again, if you're a subscriber to the site, you'll get access to it first. Or if you're a member on YouTube, you will get access to that first as well. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in a week.
Yep. Go Leafs, go.